and Prejudice is a manual on what women want.
Correct.
Holy crap.
What they wanted back then.
Really? Really?
I think it's pretty much the same, isn't it?
Yeah. It's pretty close. It's pretty close.
It's pretty close.
I think it's been tainted a little bit, the younger generation.
You mean what is it? Pride and Prejudice and Zombies? That's still actually a decade ago, if I'm not mistaken, for publishing
I
date.
don't mean that at all. I don't know
okay.
what that
No,
is.
they made a movie, right?
They've made several.
Several. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
The BBC edition is considered the canon, right?
Oh,
but then we have Keira Knightley's. Then we have the Zombies version that came out, both in text and that. And then there's Bridget Jones's Diary is a modern remake.
I did like that.
Of that particular book.
So,
not my favorite Austen book, but
since I haven't read it, and Eric, I assume you did not read it.
That's correct.
Can you summarize it for us? What women want? I knew this was gonna degenerate into a dating podcast. I knew
Immediately.
No, but we have to go over this. So what do women want? Please, give me 5
Give us 5 bullet points.
Please, I beg you.
I can just imagine the comments. They're like, you're speaking for all of womankind.
Yeah.
You are.
The book goes into the complexity both of a woman and a man, right? Oh, yeah. And I was telling you this earlier, how you are a certain person with a certain value set, a certain personality, and then you take certain actions that seem contradictory to that. Mm-hmm. So she judges him quickly based on something she hears in a ballroom,
which is I get all the time.
And he
it's like a story of my life.
he basically shuns her. He really puts her down. Someone suggests that he dance with her, and she's like, why would I dance with her? Ugh, right?
Yeah.
But so both of them have pride and prejudice, right? And yet both of them are extremely intelligent individuals, known for being level-headed, well-paced, respected by their peers, and yet they do this thing to each other, and what ensues is this kind of battle of wills between these two individuals. And then there's this moment where he comes to this realization where he, in fact, has affections for her. And she stands up to him. It's quite amazing. I'm not spoiling the words.
We heard all that, but what we wanted was a 5-point breakdown.
What do we want? So he ran after her and she said no?
He proposed and she said no. And why? She was like, why would I be interested? Well, she had her, and then she ends up having a crush on this other guy who is the soldier. I forget his name, but can we just say?
So they had roasters back in the day as well.
He was a soldier, and he was yummy.
He was yummy.
He was very, very yummy, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a yumster. Anyways, so Elizabeth has this crush on the soldier who feeds her information about Darcy that feeds into the prejudices, and then she finally comes to this realization that she kind of assumed things about him that were unfair.
Right.
Now, with Darcy, what happens with Darcy, that's, I think, was so attractive, is he's steadfast. So, although she rejects him, he respects her space. He doesn't try to pursue her again. But you find out that some successes in her life were him helping her in the background because he has affection for her.
Low-key stalker vibes? Or
no,
what?
No, that's the thing. That's actually the thing. It's not low-key stalker vibes, which is wonderful. Refreshing, right? And it actually illustrates that he genuinely cares for her, So it's not there's a lot of I'm doing this, I'm paying for your dinner, I'm opening this door because I also expect my dick to get sucked by the end of the day. You're sucking my dick, I'm opening the door and paying for this, right? But she's rejected him. And despite that rejection, he respects her decision and yet helps her. So her family has a bit of a scandal and all this stuff. And
he's still there for her.
He actually, without seeking, she doesn't even know it was him until later on in the novel, and you find that out. Spoiler alert, sorry. And I think that's the main thing is he has genuine feeling for her as a person and as a woman, and Darcy sees her as both, and those two things aren't mutually exclusive. And I would say that is something, since written history, women,
story,
it's like a Cornelian dilemma. You choose honor over a transactional
or just like, again, being seen as Elizabeth and being seen the person and being seen as Elizabeth the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And
so what do women want? Women want a proof of genuine
I would say that women want to be seen as both of those things.
Okay.
Without a transactional relationship.
Okay, transactional. I don't want to make it sound like relationships aren't about giving and taking. They always are, whether it's romantic, professional, friendship, citizen. I mean, I agree or disagree here.
What was the citizen part?
Like as a citizen, I give up certain freedoms as a citizen, but I also get certain privileges.
Yeah, no, I don't accept that.
In friendship,
I don't give up those things.
In friendship, I'll pick you up, right? Or I'll pay for your Uber, which is what Ivan was doing before. He was like, oh, okay, just come, I'll pay for you. Like, that's what a friend does, right? But in return, maybe not today, I'm not giving back, but eventually, right?
There will be some give and take.
So I don't want to exclude that. So I don't want to make it, but transactional is like, I am only doing this with the expectation of this in return. And you, I'm no longer attracted to you, or you rejected me. Mm-hmm. And so now you are nothing. You are not even a person. And I will ghost you.
The uncivilized behavior when people are like upset and they just turn into like, I'm just like, you don't have to be uncivilized. Like, we could be respectful individuals. People become savages. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, that brings me to the next point.
There we go.
Which is not no, it's fine. I love it. So first of all, we should read Pride and Prejudice.
You should definitely read Pride and Prejudice.
Let's watch
it's not my favorite.
Or at least watch the movie.
First of all, I also need to say it's not my favorite. I'm a Northanger Abbey girl, very proudly so.
Which one is your favorite?
Northanger Abbey, by far.
Okay.
By far.
That's another one.
It's a wonderful read, but like, they all have this little nugget of humanity that she just like puts this microscope on, and when you see it by the end, you're just blown away. She's so proud of her.
We should have like a Jane Austen episode. If it's gonna improve like our current dating, I would go for it, man, because I don't know where to find information. Do you think online dating has like destroyed romanticism and whatever was left of
do you remember where you were when
fantasies?
Do you remember where you were when you found out what Tinder was?
No.
I remember like a movie in my mind. I was in Shizuoka. I was living in Shizuoka at the time, so I wasn't visiting. I met two of my friends, Kim and Vicky. We would go to Hug Cafe in Shizuoka. They just opened a new little kiosk down by my house. And we met there, and
wait.
Vicky,
Hug Cafe, they had that in Japan.
Hug Cafe,
2011.
It was not actually giving hugs. Just to be clear, so the coffee was the hug. But so we were at Hug Cafe, and Vicky pulls out her phone and she goes, "Oh my God, have you heard of this thing, Tind?" And she's like looking in, she just downloaded it, and she's like, look, we can meet people. And there were like 7 glorious months.
Yeah, where it was good.
7 glorious months.
Okay. What do you mean glorious?
Like people were like normal, and now it's become skewed.
Right.
Where there was like an effort in conversation and purpose. And like, you're not copy pasting the same opening line or AI writing it for you, right? That's they have on Bumble now. I get the features. But
I hate those. I don't think we should use AI for that.
I mean, I'll take AI if she can.
Do you think Hinge is the best? Probably still.
I'm not on any
You're
apps anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, no, organic.
Okay, good.
That's why I travel.
Organic is.
I travel for rooftops and young men.
Okay, so digital nomadism.
Yes,
let's
segued nicely into that.
Okay, first of all, you guys don't know each other that well.
No, we all met at a party. Like all good relationships. And that's digital nomadism.
Yeah, I heard her talking about D&D, and I was like, I'm interested. I've never heard a girl talk about D&D. What's going on over here?
What? Really? That makes me sad.
It's like a board game.
D&D?
Sorry, I apologize.
Whoa.
No.
Whoa.
It's like a fantasy board game.
Leave. Should I leave? What is it? No, I have no idea what
D&D is a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
D&D is a mind.
I undersold it.
D&D is a mindset. It's I think if anyone were to partner for a long time, right, they should have a good 3 to 4 D&D sessions.
Yeah, like I'd love to. I've never in my life.
Never.
I've always wanted to. I just didn't know it.
You know your true self.
Yeah.
You know your true self.
So like, have you ever played like a video game, like an RPG?
Yes.
Okay, it's
Elders,
RPG
Elders
without
Ring.
the video game. It's literally like you and your friends, and like there's like a dungeon master who's like, telling the story, and you're like rolling. It is
Dungeons
D&D
and Dragons. Oh,
is
D&D.
Dungeons and
Okay,
Dragons.
no, I
Oh,
get it.
sorry.
Okay.
You're forgiven. Sorry.
Yeah, and there's like dice and like
Special
papers.
dice. Whoa. Not any
Special
kind
dice.
of dice.
Okay,
There's
okay.
special die.
16-sided dice or something. Yeah.
Two
16-sided dice.
Okay.
I've never played. I just know some stuff.
Yeah, two. Like, just make sure because we cannot have the D&D people after us. So,
And
that's just
I
not
watched
happening.
that show. What's it called? With the children.
Oh, come on, the science show.
No, the small one with the children.
Oh.
No, not that one. The little ones. There's like four.
The Netflix.
Yeah. There's like 4 6-year-olds or 10-year-olds. It's a very famous TV show. There's a little bald girl in it. She has superpowers.
Oh my God.
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. Yes.
Oh my God. Please don't judge us. Yes.
What's the
Stranger
relationship with
Things.
D&D?
They love
They
D&D.
love D&D.
And like they
D&D.
name all the monsters after D&D characters.
Okay. I haven't watched Stranger Things either.
It's a great show.
This is not going well.
And so when you make a decision as when your like group makes a decision, like Frodo with the ring kind of group, you roll the die to see what the effect and success is.
Okay.
And the master of games is like telling you from that, okay, this is what happened. Now let me tell you the consequence of that decision.
And it's cool because you can come up with like any decision you want. Like you'll have a bard like trying to bang the demon, and like he's like, I rolled a 16 critical. Oh, I'm fucking him. Like it's weird. You can just do whatever.
Yeah.
And like the dungeon master rolls with it.
So this is great for dating?
No.
I mean, I would be into someone who plays D&D.
Yeah, very specific niche.
But that is, I would agree. That is a specific kind of female.
How many girls are into D&D? Like, what's
That's
the
a
percentage
fact
ratio?
checker
I would
question.
say
It's low.
What's the
less than
ratio?
10%.
Less than 10%.
Although, fun fact, and I know this because I worked in the gaming
about what
industry,
poker
but
is
we all
or
say that, who's the gamer? Who are we looking for, right? And we're like, oh, the teenage boy, 13 to 17. In fact, 47% of gamers are females. In their 30s.
I've heard these statistics, but I'm like, I think they're factoring in cell phone games.
Okay, but a mobile. See, there you go. There you go. So why isn't a mobile game a game? I play Catan on my phone.
No, that's fine. But I'm talking like
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush.
But that's a game.
No, it counts. It absolutely counts statistics wise. But like, there's a difference between Candy Crush and like Call of Duty. That's all I'm saying. It's
Okay,
a different type of different.
But then,
fair point.
But wait a second. So then, accurately, you're saying that fighting games that are console games are for the teen, but not games. And the thing is, what is said is games are.
Absolutely.
And so that's where, right, we're unpersoning. Like going back to our Jane Austen thing. Like, what a mobile game isn't a game because
it's a different category.
It's a different category. It's also a different platform.
Yeah,
usually, most mobile games are done with Unity. Other console games are done with Unreal. There's a vast difference in the experience and the time you play it.
Absolutely.
What's the greatest game of all time? I have a very strong opinion on it.
Clarify,
Catan?
because Wizards of the Coast says that it's 40 to 50% women.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my data. I got
that
out of the
includes
scene
mobile
2
games,
years ago, so my data's definitely. Oh, D&D.
50%.
Wow.
40 to 50%.
That's huge.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Where are
I'm
you
surprised.
girls?
Where are
That's
these girls
great.
hiding?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't obviously since I said this. Right.
She was at a party announcing it publicly, and I was like, I need to know more.
But that's what happens, right? At a certain point, you're like,
Yeah,
I think the greatest game of all time is Tetris.
I think Skyrim.
that's a great game. I don't
Isn't
know
that
about
the best game?
greatest.
I think Skyrim.
Skyrim. I have no idea what Skyrim
Yeah,
is.
if you don't know what Skyrim is, you're missing out.
Okay.
All right.
Do you know Skyrim?
No.
Oh wow.
No,
okay.
I don't. And I
My
was like-
time to shine. Skyrim is like open world RPG standard.
What year?
2011, I believe.
Oh, it's old.
Yeah, but it's good. They've re-released it many times.
So is Texas.
God.
Tetris. Sorry.
Tetris. Yeah, I know Tetris.
And Texas.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah.
But no, basically, it's like the first game that like included dragons that you'll just randomly encounter, and then you have to fight dragons, and it's fucking
Fun.
awesome.
I want to fight.
Like
dragons.
it's like you fight goblins and orcs and elves and all the normal stuff, but then they added like dragons, and in every other game before this, dragons were like a scripted event. like it's the boss or whatever. But this one, you'll just randomly encounter dragons, and like you'll hear like a roar and like some wings flap, and then suddenly you're fighting dragons. You like shoot it down, and it crashes and like fucks up the ground. I was like, man, this game's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, 2011, this was peak gaming.
I'm loving that Skyrim. I wrote it down.
Yeah, please. It's pretty impressive.
So
we met at a party.
you met at a party.
D&D.
It was designed for digital nomads.
Well,
Yes.
our host,
And our
who's our common, like the link, right?
Yes, Elaine. ElaineZung.com.
Yes.
Elaine, shout
Plug
out.
in, shout out.
Yeah.
Great taste in people.
Amazing
Love her.
website designer, great business owner.
So digital nomads, not just digital nomads, people hang out with people that
But we
are
all have
similar.
that in common.
we did.
We did. And Playa del Carmen, which you're not.
Which I'm not a part
which
of.
you're not part of, yeah.
Correct. I'm the outlier.
So, okay, let's start with you. So, professional
Yeah.
digital nomad, 25 countries, something?
Something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
So
definitely favorite was in Japan.
so that's actually, I do want to distinguish that because I lived
Okay.
in Japan in total for about 7.5 years.
Okay.
And then I did 3 years where I spent about 3 to 4 months there. But it was right after I left. So it didn't feel like, and I still had a ZIDU card, which is like your alien card. So I didn't have a digital nomad experience. I had a like expat experience. And those two things are very different. I've traveled to Korea as a tourist. I've traveled to Korea on business. I actually stayed in Korea for up to 3 months on business.
Okay.
So
I went to Seoul.
to Seoul, you amazing.
I went. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
How long were you there?
A month.
Oh God, the food,
I was in
the
Taiwan.
drinking.
Yeah.
Taiwan is great too.
I always heard it's like the most technologically advanced society in
Which
the
one?
world.
Korea?
Seoul, yeah.
In what way?
Like how they'll have
agree
like
with you.
touchscreen TVs
Yes,
like
they have
in
touch
their
screens
living room.
everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
In a metro, everywhere. Yeah,
yeah.
Like
IoT.
just that level of advanced. Just like
Yeah.
a step above everyone else.
See, I stayed there, but I never had an apartment there.
Okay.
I had a traveler's apartment, but I never had that. Whereas in Japan, like I had a lease, I was paying taxes, like so. I had to go to the city hall often.
So wait a minute, you spent 7.5 years in Japan?
Yes.
That's,
How's your Japanese? Pretty good.
Good enough.
Okay, it's pretty good.
so why 7.5 years?
So I did 6.5. I did 3 and some months in Shizuoka. That's where I was stationed as a high school teacher.
Oh,
I
you were
did the JET
teaching
program.
English.
I did the JET program. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Then I moved to Tokyo. I got a job at Temple University, where I was a teacher at the uni there, American school, and as well as actually I had 2 jobs. I did a head teacher at an after-school program, and then I left, and then I missed it. And I was like, I think I left too early. And so I went back for a fucking year, 13 months.
Shit.
And that's where I got into recruiting and people operations, which is what I do now, what my business does now. But that experience I think is really different.
You can
from
plug your
being
website, your
digital.
business.
No,
Yeah, go for it. Instagram, whatever you want.
you're
Yeah.
so sweet. Now that path led me to what I do now, which is I do fractional people operations for businesses in the US and Canada. And
Fractional.
fractional, yeah.
does that
So fractional means that I'm not a full-time person on their staff, but I work, let's say, 40 hours a month, 15 hours a month, 100 hours a month on a needs basis. Businesses of 50 people and less don't need a CPO as chief people officer. They don't need a head of HR. They probably need a generalist, but they need someone who can strategically outline that. And I do that for Talent and Tools.
Okay.
It's been great. I love
Yeah.
it. And that's allowed me the digital nomad entrepreneur life, right?
Yes.
Which was different from when I did do 2 years as a salaried digital nomad.
Okay.
And
That was in Japan?
That
still?
was, I was
Traveling
I was
worldwide.
traveling, yeah.
Okay, so name the countries you went to. And I wanna go over specific countries.
Okay.
Yeah. So you went to
So let's go do geographically, continent-wise, let's say.
timeline wise? I want to see
timeline?
so you left Montreal. So wait a
Okay,
minute.
so I'm only starting with as an adult because as a kid, my dad's a pilot.
Oh,
Oh.
So I grew up
okay.
in an airport.
You grew up
in an airport. It was the 80s.
Yeah.
My parents were yeah, kind of, yeah.
No.
My
What's
parents
the
were
yeah.
So my parents were
What?
my dad must have been like 27 when he had me, but 24 when they had my sister. And my mom was 20 and 23. So very young.
Was she a flight attendant?
And she was a flight attendant and a model. And my dad
classic. This guy's living
very
a life.
classic. very 80s, very pen
Catch me if
and
you
like
can.
kind of yeah. And my dad was pilot. He's retired now. And, you know, again, we were the first two born to our family. My mom's siblings were young. So they would leave us in the airport with a note and 20 bucks.
What?
And we'd wake up in the morning and it'd be like, meet dad at gate 6. Here's a 20.
They had rooms at the airport?
No, it would just be on a fucking chair.
Oh,
What?
no.
I know, which is so...
This is like child abuse these days.
Right. That's why I keep saying it was the 80s. It was the 80s.
So your parents were traveling with you.
No,
No.
without them.
We would be in Montreal. They would like leave us. Like my mom would be
okay,
like,
okay,
okay,
yeah.
I had to like it's 4 a.m. I had to go on a plane. Your dad's landing at 8.
yeah.
So here, you guys sleep in this chair. Wait here. He'll
Yeah.
come back. Meet him at the gate, and you go home with him.
So this was meant to be. This is not a coincidence at all.
well-
like, how do people become digital nomads? Well, here you go.
Yeah, traveling at an early age.
Circumstance, exposure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, privilege. You can't. You know the privilege
Yeah.
of being healthy.
Right.
The privilege of being mobile. Right.
Sure.
I've been thinking that a lot more recently. As I get older, with what are the demands of my body in this specific city,
Yeah.
right? I went
It does change
Galapagos.
dramatically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to Galapagos and I was freaking swimming in a shark tank and I was like,
Sweet.
oh my God, this is so amazing. And then I was like, oh my God, imagine I did this even 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Like, that's nuts, right?
I want to swim with sharks.
I mean, I love swimming with sharks.
I would love
I
to swim.
love
I
doing
never
it. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
We can go. I know a spot.
Well,
Okay.
you would know because
Yeah,
you're the
I know.
Right.
So can I just
yes,
bring this
bring
up?
it back.
Okay. So when I first met Eric, this is a great story.
Okay.
I met him in a bar in Playa del Carmen on 5th Avenue.
I love it.
And half an hour in, we're drinking, and he goes, would you like to go have some fun tonight? And I said, yeah, sure. What do you want to do? And he goes, let's take some LSD and scuba dive at night with sharks. That's the first activity he proposed to me.
It's really fun.
but you obviously didn't do it.
No, we didn't.
No,
I never done it. I never
no.
scuba dived at night
He doesn't like acid.
on LSD. I
Yeah.
don't like acid and not with sharks.
Exactly. There's
But
a
I would
lot going
like-
on.
I would love to try diving
At
with
least the
sharks in a
shark part.
controlled environment during the day.
Okay, in the day,
Sober.
yes.
Yeah,
Controlled environment. What do you mean by that?
like with a professional.
Yeah. Okay. We got.
You're a
I got a spot.
He's a professional scuba diver.
No.
So-
Like,
Right,
yeah,
No, but like I got a spot where we can go. Guaranteed, like 20 sharks every day show up to get fed by these random dudes who've just been like in the wild.
Is it in Mexico?
It's in Honduras. It's close. There's a,
Okay.
There's a direct
Yeah,
flight from
right there.
Montreal
Yeah,
to
okay.
Roatán, and it's phenomenal. And
You love Honduras, eh?
it's so awesome.
Why do you like Honduras
Really?
so much?
Bro, it's like okay, so there's
Haven't
like
been.
It's this
I've never
small.
been under.
It's a small island, very long, skinny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's like one road that goes across.
Okay.
And so like if you're trying to get anywhere, you just go to the road, and every car is going your direction, so you can just get in, and like every car will pick
You're
you up.
hitchhiking.
Yeah, like essentially, like taxis or whatever, but it's like super cheap. And then like you'll get to the west side, which is where all the cool shit is. And it's like there's like a cool area, and then there's like a hotel rich area.
Okay.
And like all the bars are great. You can smoke weed, you can do coke. Coke's like $10 a gram. You can bring your dog to the bar. All the clubs are super fun. And then there's like this boat that's like some guy rigged. So there's like a rope swing, and like you can like
Oh,
rock.
he brought up the price of Coke. He's like,
It's important for people.
he had to bring it up.
Anyway,
Fact checker.
there's this like
Really $10?
it's really cheap. And so there's like this like boat, and it's like a rope swing, and you and your friends like rock the boat, and you jump and you swing, and like they designed it so you can't hurt yourself. And I was like, this is just a fun drunk activity you can do for free. Just swim out.
until the next One Direction boy dies.
Well, nobody died.
Doing something
It's
like
impressive. And then there's like submarines you can rent and like go down. Like
You can rent submarines.
This dude, he built his own submarine.
Okay.
And then he straps cows or horses to it, dead carcasses, full carcasses, straps to his submarine,
Jesus.
goes down like 2 kilometers, and sharks bigger than his submarine show up and rip them off of the submarine. I was like, this is the coolest country ever. They just fucking do whatever they
First of
want.
all, is this old show?
It's all true.
Okay.
Are we going?
It's not an island, though. It's between Nicaragua and Guatemala.
No, you're talking about the country of Honduras. There's an island off the coast called Roatán.
Okay, so we're talking. Okay, got it. Well,
Okay, sorry to specify. There's a small island. Interesting history. It used to be part of like the British Empire, which was and then the British did a swap for Belize for Roatán or something. And so this island all speaks English, and then the rest of the country all speaks Spanish, which is a funny, weird. And there's also on the other side of the island, there was like a slave ship that crashed, and all the slaves survived and have like lived there.
Oh, cool!
Like minus slavery. So they like kept their African culture, and it's like these people that have been here for hundreds of years, like just developing this like strange African culture on the side of this like tiny island. It's a very strange place to go, but it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Are we down to go?
It's super cheap. It's amazing.
She's not
great
convinced.
time.
I will go. I'm happy to go, but am I excited?
No.
Do you scuba dive?
No.
Then you have no desire to go to this place.
You have to give it a shot.
Do not go to this place.
And which I'm also willing to do.
All right.
But I was going to ask you is how's the food?
Pretty subpar.
There. And that's been my issue with,
Like, it's not
with
bad.
the exception of
It's not
Mexico.
bad.
Okay, but Eric, let's be realistic. We're probably gonna go back to Mexico soon. Can we scuba dive with sharks in Mexico? Can
It's
take care
not
of
like a
that?
guarantee. You can do it, but like this place is the best place.
Yeah, but realistically, we're going to be going to Mexico in the next few
fine.
months.
When are you guys
Like, can
going on this, yes?
Probably like a few months.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah,
He has,
sure.
He has,
Well, like,
can I say it? He has a girlfriend in Mexico.
Yeah,
he has
that's
a
fine.
girlfriend. Yeah. And I'm tightly tied to Playa del Carmen. I go all the time, and you have to go. You have to see this whole area.
I'll go for like a week.
Yeah.
Have you heard about Tulum? Have you heard about?
Of course.
Of course. Okay. Have you heard about Bacalar?
No.
No.
pretty cool.
Okay. So that's the little gold nugget of this whole
Okay.
area.
you'd like
Is that something you want to put on the podcast though? Because I don't like giving away my gold nuggets.
It's okay.
Yeah, you can give your
People won't go because it's too far. It's a hassle to get there.
3-hour drive south of Tulum.
Yeah, which is like 2
Which is
hours.
not far
Which is like an
enough.
hour and a half drive from the airport.
Okay. Can I just sell this whole area for like a second, and then
it.
we're gonna go back to the countries you visited. Okay. So the comet that killed the dinosaurs fell in the Gulf of Mexico.
Fascinating. Okay.
And created the Gulf of Mexico,
Yeah.
this like little circle. And from my knowledge, I might be butchering that, Michael, you can fact check. The Yucatan Peninsula, the Quintana Roo area, was a coral reef and then emerged out of the ground and became fossilized limestone, which is essentially very weak limestone that collapses easily and created one of the largest network of caves in the world. And all the cave water starts from Cancun, goes down to Playa del Carmen, under Tulum, and emerges in Bacalar in form of the largest freshwater lagoon on the planet. And it's absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
Bacalar is.
So that's the geography.
mind-blowing.
Talk
Yeah,
to me
it's very
about the
cool.
digital nomads there. What's that
So-
scene like?
Anybody who wants to become a digital nomad, I tell them start with Playa del Carmen. Because you have all the infrastructure, you have beautiful beaches, you have all the restaurants. What's your number one place? Like introductionary place?
Okay, that's a great question. Lisbon's definitely up there.
Okay, Porto or something. Portugal.
No,
Yes.
I would say Lisbon more than Porto because
Okay.
Porto is
But it's more expensive than PDC, than Mexico.
but it's
understand what
also
you're saying.
more
Yes,
everything
there is
else.
culture. I know. I love Lisbon. Hey, don't get me
So
wrong.
Lisbon's definitely up there. I love Saigon. If you have like the luxury of the time, etc. Saigon's a great
that's
one.
an issue. Time zone is a problem.
Yeah,
Both
I
for
love
Europe and-
Mexico City.
I did
I've
not.
never been.
What?
I've never been to
So
Mexico City.
this is what I okay. So I've spent 3 stints there, digital nomading.
Okay.
Amazing.
But no beach.
No, definitely no beach.
And colder.
Much colder, much drier, a
scuba
lot
diving.
more pollution.
Great,
No
great
cave
food,
diving.
great bars, great
Yeah.
humans, both local and expat,
Pollution.
educated. Ubers are inexpensive.
I had a truck there. It was a nightmare driving around.
Yeah.
Great activities.
Yeah. Great culture.
The pyramids are super cool.
The pyramids
Yeah.
is
Super
fun.
cool.
So they have like
Okay.
the tourism-y things you have, but you also just have like, you can, well, for me, like,
Are you a beach person?
no.
Oh, okay. There you
She's
go.
a city person.
She's a city person. Yeah. Which is fine.
I like plumbing. I
culture.
love plumbing. Good
You like
friend
plumbing?
of mine.
Okay.
Very
that makes
grateful
sense.
for the
Tulum
plumbing.
has a plumbing issue.
Yeah.
Plumbing,
But I also just
But-
don't like the kind of the culture that comes with.
Yes. I understand that.
Yeah, because I find that those areas attract more, one of the critiques of digital nomadism is that we're kind of exploiting the land that we're in. You were talking before about like the real estate and all that stuff, but like also just like, just I'm here, but I'm not invested because I know I'm going to leave. And so that leads to certain behaviors, and the beach behaviors
are nasty.
I mean, for me, it's like Costa Rica was like the death.
Can
you explain?
So I loved like Monteverde. I had such a great time there. And where's the place with the volcano? Oh God, I spent a couple of days there. That was amazing.
Arena?
No. It was what they blocked off. Like you can't go inside anymore because of the snakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was expecting like lava, but you're like snakes.
Yeah, it's dormant. But anyway, so like those places were awesome. But then we went to the coast, and it was just so.
You're right.
Like,
there is a lot of that. No, there is a lot of that.
Explain.
Just try. Are we talking garbage? Are we talking overcrowding?
Okay, there's that.
Poor behavior.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. So
too much hustling.
I grew up in Hawaii.
Everyone has chlamydia.
Okay.
Like, there's a WhatsApp group
This
of like,
escalated fast.
But it's true,
Yes.
right? It's true. There's so much incest happening within friend groups. There's like this vying for men, vying for women. It does not bring out the best in humanity.
Okay.
Whereas the individuals I've met, be they tourists, be they digital nomads, be they expats in the more cities like Mexico, they've been people with values that I have.
Okay.
Investing in good food, enjoying museum, appreciating the city I'm in, and kind of trying to add value in a way, in any way I can. Right? There's an exchange. I'm sharing this part, but I'm also so grateful that you're welcoming me here and sharing this with me. The beach culture is more like, here's my 20% tip. And
yeah,
you're right.
Go eat fire.
Absolutely.
She's right.
What the fuck?
So like,
but the sea is so nice.
No, I hear this complaint.
It's so healing
that the expats are abusing because the place doesn't have the infrastructure set up or whatever.
Well, Playa does. Tulum does not.
I hear what you mean.
Yeah.
But like, I grew up in Hawaii, and so like all of our thing is focused around tourism.
Yep.
But the thing is, we understand the issue, and we actively try to mitigate it. And so like in Mexico, they aren't actively trying to mitigate it. They're just trying to make money and destroying everything in the process. And so that there is like definitely a middle ground. And like, I'm not going to place all the blame on the tourists.
All right. I'm not going to invite anybody else to Playa Carmen or Tulum. You guys win.
No. I would come down for a week. But for me, like,
I think you're going to fall in love with it.
And that's, and you know what? I've been wrong before. It's not going to be the first time. It's not going to be the last.
Have you ever went cave scuba diving?
I have.
You did?
Yeah, Philippines.
No. So this is very different. This is the cenotes. You've heard of this?
No.
Okay, so he was talking about these limestone tunnels.
Right.
This is that, and it's phenomenal.
Which is exactly so. That's that. So this, but this is where I would delineate between tourism.
Yeah.
Right, going to a place and visiting it and having those experiences versus digital nomading versus expatting, right? And that's where I would delineate. Do I want to have that experience?
For
yes.
Sure.
But do I want to wake up when I wake up in the morning and I have, let's say, an 8-hour day, whatever. What do I want? In Lisbon, I woke up, I went to the corner, I went to my coffee shop. I got what they called the bumble coffee, where they mixed it with some orange juice, and they would make this show. And then I got to talk to people who became my neighbors. And those were locals who spoke English and expats and other digital nomads and tourists. And there was a sense of community, a sense of giving and a sense of taking and an exchange. And in both commerce, in both like cultural exchange and personal exchange. And then I would go to the co-work space. I was at a Selina and work. And at lunch, I would grab an Aperol Spritz because I can. Maybe head to another cafe down the road and do some flow work from there. That's not what people talk about when they're talking about Playa de Carmen. They're not talking about that routine life, that kind of thing. They're talking about these great exotic moments. And for me, that is why I would go there as a tourist.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Unless you have a time difference issue and you have to be here, like in this time zone.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then where do you go? You have to be in Americas. If you work for an American company and you have to
Well, not to be tooting Portugal's horn. I keep going back to it.
Pretty close time zones.
But it's one of the best, exactly.
5 hours.
Yeah. So it was I was done at 9, and I have a European lifestyle.
But your evening is gone. I did that.
European
I disagree. European lifestyle. I go and eat at 9:30 and I party till 4.
Like 9 or 10.
But all the coolest activities are before 9.
Not
No.
in Spain.
No.
Or
What about
Portugal.
museums and churches? And
Then I get up and I go before
In
I
the
start
morning.
work.
Yeah.
I felt like I was missing a lot because I was working until 10.
I think your volcano was Rincon de la Vieja, maybe?
A little bit late, Michael. It's been like 15 minutes ago.
I gotta
Lisbon
find it.
now.
They're the capital. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We'll add something in the thing about my volcano, but it was a really cool volcano.
Okay, so I went to Lisbon
Yeah.
and I felt it was like destroyed by tourism.
You found it. Well, are you talking about prices, or are you talking about?
I'm talking about like everything around like the downtown area.
Yeah.
It's all like tourist shop. The prices were crazy. The traffic was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was packed with tourism and I felt like there was nothing local left.
Okay.
It was all like tourist based.
Yeah.
Few cool stores, like if you look a little bit around.
Right.
What's the name of that cool area in Lisbon that's on the hill?
Pink Street.
No.
Yeah, sounds like a
Amalfi Coast?
No. Come on, what's the name? Like the most famous area in Lisbon.
Usually, everyone talks about, especially
Yeah.
men. They usually talk about Pink Street.
I don't know what that is, but hey.
You don't know what Pink Street is?
But I assume. No, I don't.
good for
no.
you.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a horror street?
Someone didn't go to a bachelor party.
Yeah,
Actually, the one time I went to Pink Street, a British gentleman came up to me, and my boss met me in Portugal that time. And he came up to us and said, "Hey, it's my last night as a single man," pulled down his shorts and started masturbating in front of us while we were in line
Did you
for
punch him
going
in
to
the
a
face?
club. No, we just took out our phones and filmed him.
Violence is definitely the answer in that
Yeah.
situation.
What is the answer?
Well, like it was, but it's considered to be the cool place. I mean,
But don't you think Lisbon is like overrun by tourists?
So
It's Alfalma you talked
Alfama, thank you.
do you mind if I see the map? Because I'm like, can I see what like a visual of it? Sorry, I'm not good.
Alfama.
I think if I can
Yeah.
remember this shit. I'll fucking remember.
It's all the nice views.
So I was there for, I was in Portugal for 2 months.
Okay.
So I was in Lisbon for about 5 to 6 weeks.
Is
And
Porto better?
no,
No, it's the same.
it's not the
I've
same.
never been.
Porto is worth it. The Selina co-work space is like the most beautiful ever. Thanks. No, I wanted to see the area you were talking about. Thanks. I just wanted to like, get my stories. But Nantuka, what was I saying? Porto. Yeah. Like, so Porto was Porto was fun. It was a great vibe. I had fun, some good speakeasies there, which is something I look at when I'm nesting in a spot, right? Not just traveling for tourism. But Lisbon, I just, I went to a cevicheria, and I met an Israeli, and 4 months,
Cevicheria.
4 months later.
Cevicheria.
Yeah, it's actually lineups. Lineups all day. So I just went by myself finally, and I met a girl at a bar, and we ended up spending all night together to the point where 6 months later, I ended up going to Israel and stayed 3 months because I met her at that bar. Like, I just found that being alone in Lisbon, I was safe.
It is safe.
The food was amazing,
Really good. Amazing.
out of this world.
Yeah.
I completely concur. There were certain pockets, especially that were very touristy, but like I love those pockets because I'm like, go.
Yeah.
You all go while I go explore
Elsewhere.
These little
Amalfa.
yeah. Trying to
Areas.
see. Okay, yes, okay. So I was just outside of that, to the west. So yeah, Amalfa is, well, of course, it's where all the government buildings are, and all the churches and the port and all that stuff. Right, of course. But think of any city.
Yeah. But I thought like Barcelona is, even though there's a huge amount of tourists, it's so big that there was more like local life.
A local life. I mean,
Yeah.
I love Barcelona.
I like Barcelona as well. I think Barcelona is
Barcelona's
the best.
nightlife.
Yeah, right?
Skating, like
I only was in Madrid. I don't know.
okay.
So is
not a
Barcelona
fan.
the best expat / digital nomad
Yeah, but
place in the world?
they are
No.
welcome. They're
It's
definitely
not.
hated.
rats? Too many rats. I didn't
many
like
rats,
it.
I haven't
And the subway, wasn't my favorite.
Subway's good in Barcelona. No,
She has higher standards.
Okay, so what's your favorite? Yeah, obviously.
Besides
so
Tokyo. Besides Tokyo,
well,
because I'm a
you live
Tokyo
there.
girl.
Okay, we get it. It's kind of far.
Honestly, Mexico City.
Mexico City.
I was definitely up there. Saigon is, like I said, Lisbon was totally up there. I did love
Mexico
Brussels.
City,
That was fun.
Really?
It's always raining, no?
It's kind of like the Netherlands. Yeah, it does rain a lot.
I liked the kind of people who went to Brussels
Okay.
versus Amsterdam.
Fair.
Right?
It is
I mean,
different crowd.
She lived in
it.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I was there for a while, about a month.
I was there for
Yeah.
a couple
Okay,
years.
so I have to give Eric like a few minutes
Sure.
to tell him your story about how you left Hawaii
Okay. So
Ended up in Europe.
I got a weird life story.
and then ended up in Mexico, and that's where I met him. So the
In a bar.
2 years before I met him, I thought your story is just like
Yeah, so like
crazy.
I'm from Canada originally, but I left when I was like 4, so I don't really count. And then I lived in California for like 10 years, and then I lived in like Hawaii for like 10 years, and then I eventually I got deported from America. Long story. And ended up in Asia for a long time, then Latin America for a long time, and then I was in Canada for a bit. And then I went to Hawaii in 2020 in January. Okay, right before COVID started, they were announcing some weird shit. I was like, I got to get out of here. And so I got to Hawaii. They immediately like locked the world down, and I was like, perfect.
Yeah,
Anyway, so
I
like
agree.
things were going
Hawaii.
great for me. There was no tourists in Hawaii. I was having a good time, and then my dad starts dying, and he's in Malta. And I was like, man, there's nothing I can do about that. Like, he's far. Like, nah. And some random dude I haven't talked to in 10 years called me. And he's like, hey, man, I heard your dad's dying. I'll buy you a ticket. And I was like, ah, shit, I have to go. Like, you know. And so I get on a plane and I go to Malta. And I'm like the only guy in the plane, only guy in the airport. Very weird, surreal experience.
What month was that?
This was July
2020.
June 2020. So this is like, you know, very
Peak lockdowns.
Peak lockdowns.
Yeah.
And nobody on the plane. Like, right? It's very strange. Anyway, so I get there and you know, we got to deal with this, and like he dies, and we got to deal with the body. We want to burn him and leave, and they're like, "Sorry, we don't do that. That's against our religion." And I was like, "Okay,
What's the religion in Malta?
They're just weird Catholics, and they're very
Like Orthodox?
no, not Orthodox, just like super Catholic.
Okay.
And they don't believe in burning bodies, and they're like, "Listen, like we just passed a law to allow it, but we don't have an oven." And I was like, okay, so it's like physically impossible for you to deal with this. All right, they're like, I'm like, what can we do? They're like, 20 grand to bury him. And we're like, no, we're never coming back here. We're not giving you 20 grand. I'm like, what else you got? And they're like, well, 2 grand, you could throw him in the ocean. We're like, let's do that. That sounds good. And so we go out on a boat, we drink some champagne,
I love
we
that.
tell some stories. Super nice. You've been to Malta?
No.
Oh, you'd like
Not
it.
yet.
It's fucking beautiful. Everything's like you know, Minecraft?
Yes.
You know, like the sandstone bricks?
No.
Sandstone?
Okay.
I love
cool.
your references.
Everything looks like a sandcastle,
Okay.
but like awesome.
All
like
right.
everything is just like tan bricks and like fortified castles. It's very strange. They have like good reason to have castles everywhere, but interesting history of that place. Anyway, regardless, we go on this boat. Very nice time. A few friends, family. We're drinking champagne. We throw some flowers. We toss them in after our eulogies. And these guys, like he's in a box. They drilled some holes in it. They tied some cinder blocks to him, and we tossed him in. But they didn't put enough bricks, so he doesn't sink. And he floats away in the current. And we're like, Jesus Christ. And we got to go chase him down. He's like a kilometer away. Because like we just kept assuming it would sink. Like, it would float, you know.
Jesus.
And so we chase him down, and like we hook him with like you know what a gaff is?
No.
Okay, so it's like a thing you grab fish with. And so like we grab his box with this. And there's big holes in it. And so his eyes have opened up. And he's pressed up against one of the holes. And he's looking out. And all the girls are screaming and crying, horrified. And we have to like tie more bricks to him and sink him.
Thank you.
It's the most ridiculous shit anyone's ever heard of. So this is what we're dealing with. And I was like, fucking hell. So we eventually get rid of this body. I marked it on the map. And we come back to land, and the lawyer's like, oh, yeah, like, what'd your dad tell you about the will? And I was like, yeah, he told me this. He's like, none of that's true. You get nothing. You're kicked out of the will. I was like, fuck. So now I'm trapped in Malta during COVID. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do to get out of here? And so this guy, my dad, he brought a car with him from California. Okay, not a nice car, a Prius. Like an old 2008 Prius, brought it to California, to Malta, and then didn't deal with it. So it has California plates, no insurance, no registration, no driver's license. The car has 8,000 euros of tickets on it. Okay, for infractions. And
you have no driving license.
I have no drive. I was like, I just got in like a car chase in America, and they took my license. Long story. And anyway, so like so I'm like, there's 8,000 euros. He doesn't deal with it. He hides it in some guy's backyard and then dies. And so now it's my problem because the guy's like, you got to get rid of this car. And it's not like I could just sell it because there's 8,000 euros of tickets on it. And I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? And so I'm like talking to some people. They're like, you just got to like go to Sicily, bro. Just get on a ferry. Like once you get to Sicily, no one will stop you because they don't speak English. And I was like, I like this logic. Let's do this. And so like
the car is not plated. You don't have a driving license.
I have California license plate. This is very suspicious in Europe. And so I sneak the car from Gozo to Malta and I like hide it next to a police station. Cause like, I'm like, if I'm parked next to a police station at night, they're not checking plates on the cars. They're coming and going. They're not checking license plates. So I spend the night there at 6 a.m. I get up to the ferry. And they're like, we need your insurance and your registration. And I'm like, let me tell you a story. They are falling down laughing. And they're like, bro, if the police fuck with you, you're on your own, but you can come. This is hilarious. So I get to Sicily, doors open. I don't know what to expect. New country. I'm expecting customs, border, nothing. They just wave me through. I drive.
It's Sicily.
It's Sicily. Yeah. I drive all through Sicily. People are honking at me like, how are you here? California? What? Like, hilarious time. Go all the way through Sicily, another ferry, get to Italy, go to Napoli, go to Rome, go to Florence, Bologna. This is full COVID lockdown. I'm having the Euro trip of my life. No tourism. Everything's super cheap.
License.
Yeah, super fun. And like the way like in America and Canada, like the police are on the roads, like pulling people over. But in Europe, it's more camera.
I thought Italy was really strict though. Didn't they have curfews? Fact checker?
Hey, fact checker.
Curfews where?
In Italy?
During
COVID?
during COVID. I thought like they were
Anywho,
they just didn't want to stop the non-Italian.
Well, so in Europe, like on the highways, they don't have the police. They just have cameras that just like if you're speeding, they just take a picture of your plate and mail you a ticket. But I got Cali plates that doesn't work for me, so I'm just flying around like there's Maseratis. We're just like racing around each other, having fun, and just like the beautiful roads. And we go all the way through, just like blasting my dad's music. Nice little connecting moment there, and then get to like Slovenia. Finally, a cop stops me at the border. He's like, hey, where are you going? And I'm like, Vienna. And he's like, okay, cool, go for it. And so I get to Austria, and the police are a little German, they're like, pull over, we need your papers. And I pull over and I give them all this paperwork from California. This 10 years expired. And I got like a European passport on top. I'm like, it's all there, and just toss it at them. And they come back 10 minutes later and they just throw it all in the car. They don't say a word. They turn and walk away. And I just stomp on the gas and go cackling as I drive off. So I'm like, man, this white privilege shit is just out of control. Because they're like, it's a white dude in a Prius. It's fine. Like, it's not worth the hassle of dealing with it. It's too much work. It's too much work. Yeah. No, but if I was like a Nigerian with like Chad plates, it would have not gone that way. That's my point. Like, California in a Prius, some white dude, it's probably not going to be a problem, Yeah. So anyway, I go to Vienna. I go see some friends of mine, go party a little bit. Go to Prague, see some friends of mine, party a little bit. Go to Germany, 1 kilometer across the border, immediately arrested. Like this like black Mercedes pulls in behind me, like flashes his lights. I pull over to like let him pass, and he like cuts me off, slams on his brakes. A thing like pops out of his trunk, and it's like, I am the police, follow me. Like some very suspicious, hidden cars and all that. Anyway, so they take me to jail. Immediately. And they're just like, what the fuck? You drove here from Malta and nobody stopped you? Like, how is it? And I start, telling them my life and this, that. They're like, you threw your dad in the ocean? You live in Honduras and Thailand? Like, what is your, like, who are you? You don't have a driver's license? You don't have insurance? Like, what? Like, they were just losing their mind, melting down because they're such a rule-oriented culture. And to meet someone like me just like blew their minds. And they're like, bro, this is too much for us. You couldn't make this legal if you wanted to. And I was like, I'm well aware. That's why I didn't try. And so they're like, just, this is too much. Just please, we don't want to deal with you. Just leave. Just go back across the border. Go get a tow truck. Get towed 1 kilometer back because you can't drive on our roads. And then leave because we don't want to deal with this. So I leave again because everyone I talked to, like, this is a horrible idea. You're going to go to prison. And just everyone was like, this is too much work. And I was like, my idea was like, if you hear that someone just had to throw their dad in the ocean and it didn't work and it's this whole nonsense, like, you're not gonna fuck with this guy. He was like, he has big, it's like, Anyway, so I go back to Czech, I go to Slovakia, I go to Hungary, I sell the car to a chop shop, get €1,000, and then fly to Amsterdam, spend like 6 months there, and then meet some dude and go to like Mexico with him and start organizing. No, different guy. And start like organizing these like crazy parties. And,
So
like,
wait, so you made it all the way to Tulum. So you drove. Wait, you bought a car in Mexico?
No. I sold my car in Hungary, in Budapest, to a chop shop, and then I flew to Amsterdam, and then I flew to Mexico, and I was living in Mexico in Tulum, and I started throwing these crazy parties. And taxis are the most expensive in Tulum in the entire world. Okay?
Yeah.
More expensive than New York.
In the entire world.
Entire
it's horrible.
world.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Fact check this. It is.
She's gonna double check.
Yeah. Sorry, because I mean, again, Tokyo.
Yeah.
Sure.
And but taxi drivers there like wear white gloves.
It is really expensive though.
And these are like the worst taxi drivers you've ever had.
Abusive. Yeah.
It's like $50 for like a kilometer. Like it's crazy. Anyway, so this was like really cutting into my profits. So I bought a truck because I couldn't deal with this.
What profits? So because this entire story, you haven't talked about working once.
Oh, no. I'm not an expat. No, I'm not a
digital nomad.
Digital nomad at all.
Yeah. He's more of an adventurer.
I'm a finesser, whatever.
Entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Anyway, so he's in Tulum.
I'm in Tulum.
He's running.
I start throwing these crazy illegal parties
on the beach on boats.
Yeah.
And you're giving people LSD.
Yeah. All right. So I start throwing these after parties at 6 a.m. on the beach every day. Because I found this like weird window where like the police and the mafia were just not on their shit from like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And I was just I was hustling. And so like I met these guys because like they invited me out fishing at 6 a.m. and like I hatched a plan because I knew I was going to a party the night before and brought some hot girls and the DJs. And like we had this awesome morning where the sun was coming up and there's Mayan ruins in the background. And do you know what a thermocline is?
Thermocline?
Yeah.
C-L-I-N-E? No.
So it's this thing like in the water where you go down and it gets colder. It's pretty standard.
Okay, cool.
This place is a reverse thermocline because of those underwater caves we were talking about, the freshwater. Yeah, so the deeper you go, the warmer it gets. And this fucks with you. And so if you're in the water at dawn, the water feels warm because it's about the difference between the air and the water. Yeah, anyway, so you are coming off a party, MDMA, whatever, acid, having a nice time, get on a boat. You're kind of cold. The sun's coming up. You jump in the water. It's super warm. You swim down. It gets warmer. Then we're swimming with these giant stingrays and fish, and we're fishing, and we're like, we're having a time. Okay.
Right.
And so you found the business model.
Yeah,
from like 6 to 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Roughly.
And so like these guys were like, yo, we want to do a business with you, Eric. And I was like, this is great. This is the best day of my life. And this costs nothing. And everyone's like, this is something. And so we started doing this. And so I started throwing these crazy parties on the beach, 6 a.m., like fire dancers, DJs, drummers. And then at 7 a.m., I give everyone LSD and put them on boats and take them snorkeling.
So basically you brought the that moonlight party,
the full moon party from Thailand, yeah. But it's the dawn.
Mexico
I did some sunrise
at the dawn.
shit.
Yeah, there you go.
And it was fucking sick. And so I was doing this for months, and then the police were after me, and the mafia were after me, and it was a shit show. It was like I did definitely lose a lot of money in this endeavor.
You're wrong about the taxes, though.
What's the most expensive taxi in the world?
Well, it looks like Geneva.
Okay,
yeah, which does not surprise
did you
me.
type Tulum in the thing? Tulum, most expensive taxi? Yeah. And is it number 2? Like,
it's up there.
Okay.
Up there. Yeah. It's expensive, but like Switzerland, London, New York.
More expensive. Okay.
Yeah,
What about Tokyo? Just curious.
Of course.
Tokyo's my yardstick.
It's on the list. It's like number 5 on the list.
Yeah,
Okay,
it is
fine.
very high.
All right.
So cartels came to see you.
Yeah. All right. So like
Thanks.
I had this like crazy encounter and like these guys called me and they're like, a white car is going to come pick you up. Like random number shit calls. And it's like, don't move. A white car is going to come get in the car. And I was like, all right, well, okay then. So I'm going to get in this car. Cause like, you try to hide from this type of shit. Anyway. So like get to this like mansion and these guys are like, they're like walking up like 3 or 4 floors of stairs. And I'm like, am I gonna die right now? And I was like, nah, vibe's not right. Like straight fucking like a lunatic. And I go up there and these guys are like, Eric, like we've heard so much about you. You are the craziest white person we've ever met. Like you can do whatever you want in Mexico. And I was like, cool, I plan to. And they're like, but listen, like we want like $100,000. And I was like, yeah, I don't have $100,000. Like I don't have shit, bro. Like, I came down here with like $300. Like I've just been hustling. And so anyway, this goes on. And then like I obviously didn't give them $100,000. And so then they're like, well, let's just send the police after him to rob him. But like I grew up in America and like dealing with American police and dealing with Mexican police is kind of like a joke. And so I'm just running circles around these guys like for months. This goes on and on and on. And they send SWAT teams after me. They're sending guys to try to arrest me.
You still haven't met yet.
No. We met like a year later.
Yeah.
And like they keep trying to fuck with me and they keep trying to rob me and they keep trying. They didn't get shit from me. It was ridiculous, like just bullshit luck constantly. But even then, like sometimes like they would catch me dead to rights and I would just talk shit and get away with it. And like, oh, it was ridiculous. Like one time I drop everyone off. We're all on the boats. We're having a good time. People call me. I'm trying to go pick them up. I'm super fucked up. I'm on like a bunch of ecstasy and acid and like really high. Get back in my truck. I had the cops follow one of my decoy guys. They go to the wrong spot.
Wow.
And like they roll up on my buddy and he's like, where's the party? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just here by myself watching the sunrise. Like, no. And then they leave and then I'm driving my truck and I almost hit them with my truck. And I'm like, fuck. And I have like $1,000 of drugs in my pocket that I haven't paid for. And I'm like pulling the drugs out and sticking them in the visor. And the cops pull me over and they're like, you're drunk, you're throwing parties, we're going to impound your truck, we're putting you in jail. And I was like, me? Drunk? I'm not drunk. Because I wasn't drunk. I was just really high. And I'm just like so high. And like, they're like, get out, like you're throwing parties. I was like, parties? What are you talking about? And like the back of my truck is nothing but speakers and coolers and beer and like nothing but party. I'm like, party? What do you mean? They're like, what's all this, bro? And I was like, oh, I need this for a fishing trip. We're going fishing. Like we need beer for fishing, pescado. And I'm just fucking with these guys. And they're like, get out of the car. We're going to search you. We're going to search the truck. And I like jump out. I'm like, search me, search the truck. I ain't got shit. And because I was so like confident about them not finding anything, they didn't search very hard and they didn't find anything. And then they're like, all right, give us money. I was like, I don't have any money. I got some money at the house. You want to come to the house? Let's go to the house. And they're like, we'll see you next time. And then they let me go. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? And my friend was there. He's like, fuck you, Eric. I hate you. You get away with everything.
You're way too lucky, man.
Way too lucky. I really can't.
Anyways, long story short.
Anyway, long story short, eventually, like we start throwing parties in hotels and shit. And one of my buddies like accidentally leads me into a trap and kind of like vets these people. And then like they were not vetted. And so these people call me.
Vetted them for what?
Being like trustworthy individuals.
No, but for what?
They were cartel.
Anyway, there was a bunch of like cartels in Tulum, and they were fighting amongst each other for control. There was like a little war going on. A lot of buildings getting torched. A lot of people getting shot. Came across a few of those. It was a crazy time, man. You don't know. During COVID,
to Tulum.
Tulum was crazy.
So not attractive.
No. I was in the seedy underbelly. People don't see this shit. But anyway, like
I've never seen any of that.
Like sometimes like people didn't pay protection. They'd show up with machine guns and like light the bar up, like kill tourists. It was wild. Anyway, so I was doing like a pub crawl and some people got shot like right in front of us. It was crazy. Anyway, regardless, these guys were like, Eric, come over. We want to talk about the party tomorrow. The party last night went great. You know, blah, blah, blah. Michael's here. Come by. And so like my buddy's there. So I think it's fine. And so I go there. And they just beat the shit out of us with guns. And they're just like, who the fuck are you? Who do you work for? And I'm like, me? Nobody. I just like throwing parties. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they beat the shit out of us for hours. They broke your ribs? They broke my ribs. They broke my skull. They beat me with like 2 hours with a gun. And like 6 guys just beat the shit out of us. And they're like after a few hours, they realized like I didn't work for anyone. I was just some dumb white guy that likes throwing parties. Like that's it. Like they thought I was working for some other cartel. They didn't know who I was. And this went on and on and on. And eventually they were just like, give us $10,000. And like, they've been beating me for hours. There's blood all over the walls everywhere. And I just started laughing at them, like full, like dying laughing. Because I was like, I don't have any money. Like, what the fuck? And just like went on and on and on. And they're just like, oh no, this is a crazy person. Like, cause like they put a gun to my head and I just like didn't care. And there's like, this is not normal white behavior. Like, we're used to this. You put gun, you get money. This is normal. And they're just like, why isn't it working? Anyway, so it was a strange moment because like, you know,
so then he had to leave Tulum.
Yeah. They're like, no more parties, leave town. And I was like, cool, I'll go to Playa. And they're like, no, don't go to Playa, leave the state. And I was like, fine, I'll leave the state. And then like stayed in Mexico for like another year, so a year and a half, 2 years.
So you drove to Mexico City?
Yeah, so I bought a truck and I have my friend Michael, he had a motorcycle. And like
the same Michael who didn't vet the...
Yes. I love the guy, but he's a fucking idiot sometimes. Anyway, he's like a famous person in the motorcycle industry. I shouldn't say industry. Motorcycle, like biker gang world. Yeah. And so like...
Anyways, long story short.
Hear me out. It's interesting. Yeah. And so like this guy gets like connections with like biker gangs and we get like a weird fucking biker gang escort all the way across the country, all the way to Mexico City. So it's like me, random white dude with like a convoy of bikers in my truck. And it was just a weird ass surreal experience. And then we get to Mexico City and these like bikers give us like safe house. It was nice. Anyway, I stayed there for a while and then eventually went to Puerto Escondido for a while and then came back.
That's where we talked about
that. And then came back to Playa del Carmen, met him, and then moved to Bacalar for a while. And
which was the island?
He came to visit me. No, it's not an island.
It's a lagoon. South of Quintana Roo.
And to be clear, in all of this time, you were hustling, but you were never working.
Oh, I didn't work at all.
He doesn't work.
I do work.
Eric doesn't work. I don't believe you work.
That time, I used to work a lot more, but from COVID, I got extraordinarily lucky.
Don't say it.
All right, I'm not going to say it, but it was great. I had a great time. And so... Anyway, so whatever. For a long time, I did whatever I had to do. But for many, like 10 years, I worked in scuba diving, which is not much money. I do construction. I do what I have to do. Sometimes
He's a great scuba diver.
You haven't dove with me once. You have no idea.
Well, from the stories and the videos and stuff, I assume
I am quite good, but that's regardless.
Yeah, and here he is in Montreal now.
Yeah, there's no water around.
We're on an island.
But I know, but it's like not my type of water. But on that note, so I was in this chair getting beaten and they're putting guns to my head. And I had thought about this time when I was scuba diving and I was getting attacked by an eel. And like, I realized that like this eel can kill me, but I know he's blind, but I know if I behave poorly, he's going to attack me. Like he's going to get me. And it's like a really bad death. Like getting killed by an eel underwater. Fucking awful.
Does
death.
It like electrocute you?
No. It's just like, like Alien with the double jaw?
Yeah.
They inspired from these things. They have two sets of jaws and they'll bite and rip chunks out of you. And they'll just like pull chunks out of you and rip you apart and like break your arms. It's not pleasant and you're drowning the whole time. So I'm like dealing with this and staying calm. And like, that's like the key tenet of scuba diving is you got to stay calm no matter what, because you'll die if you don't. And so I'm in this situation and like they're beating me. I was like, all right, you just got to stay calm. That helps. Like, don't be afraid.
So your scuba diving experience saved your life.
In a way.
Getting beat up by cartels.
Yeah. Okay. And so like they put the gun in my head and I was like, well, that's a really easy death. Like I won't even hear anything. I won't feel anything. Super chill. And I was like, man, I'm fucked up. Like if this is the way your brain is thinking, where you're like, I'm cool with that death because I've faced worse deaths. And I was like, oh man, it was weird. It was a very strange, surreal experience.
So, did he like sell you Tulum right now?
No.
He just convinced you to come with us to Mexico.
No. It was fun though.
No. I never experienced any of that. Like
obviously.
Tulum is like a luxury.
Yeah. If you're rich, you will never experience this bullshit.
Like spectacular. It's a jungle. It's a beach connected with a jungle with some of the most beautiful restaurants you'll ever see in your life. And I guess there is all this stuff going in the background.
Let's be clear,
I've never seen any of it.
There's vices in all cities.
Absolutely.
I don't want to make it sound like there isn't.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons I prefer Vietnam to Thailand is that on a macro level, right, the vices are not appreciated.
Yeah.
I don't know about hidden. One of the laws they passed when I was traveling a lot to Saigon for business, they had passed a law where if you were a foreign male, you could not go into a hotel room unless you showed a marriage certificate
with that's crazy.
I'm not sure if it was just with Vietnamese women or just with basically Asian women.
Yeah.
And it was a way to kind of counter this, sexual prostitution, well, tourism, right? Which Thailand
is famous for.
I mean, the stories I have of that in Thailand, anecdotal and otherwise. So I don't want to make it sound like these places don't exist. They exist everywhere. Just hearing your conversations, right? Like you're like, oh, let me talk with the good, and it's just like guns and whatever.
I've never experienced any of that, but
yes, it does exist.
It does exist.
It definitely does exist.
Yeah, and you get to meet colorful people like this, and then bring him to Montreal 3 years later. 3 years ago, day by day, we were in Bacalar today.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So what happened was, I met him, and then I had to come back to Canada, and then 4 months later, he told me, I moved to this paradise type place called Bacalar. Come meet me. And so I went back to Playa del Carmen. I went to Tulum, and then I got a bunch of people to Bacalar and spent 2 weeks with him.
And I think that's something about like this community that's particular is everyone in like their niche will share information, right?
Yeah.
I do think there's something about being in the digital nomad community where you quickly befriend individuals at like an accelerated speed.
Yes.
You don't have time.
And you quickly trust them to the point of displacing yourself, right? Like, oh, you're the grapevine is telling me this in this moment. Let me invest my money, my time, my safety, and move myself there. And someone's like, "Where'd you meet?" You're like, "Oh, we met 2 weeks ago in a bar."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're best friends in that,
and for another, and then I think this is like something characteristic to digital nomads is that kind of those experiences accelerated, and I love it. I'm addicted to it. And it's something I'm struggling with this year that I've traveled less due to some life choices.
Yeah, so it's like a drug, right?
Yeah,
so let's get to this. So this podcast was supposed to be about digital nomadism. Not very much. I wanted to break down a few things. So you are somewhat of a professional digital nomad. I was like, whatchamacall those digital nomads? You said like 5. What are the 5 categories?
Right. So there's the article you shared with me before.
Yeah.
I read it.
Yeah.
And the Hermione of the group. So
I like that.
So there was 5. There was the freelance digital nomad. There was the entrepreneur digital nomad. There was the salaried digital nomad,
which was me. Yeah.
Armchair was the individual who expects to become a digital nomad within the next 3 years. And so they're curious. They're like digital nomad curious. And they're asking
why
questions.
Armchair though?
It's like armchair general.
Because they're still...
What is that?
It's like someone critiquing history with no actual experience.
Oh, they're stuck in a chair.
Interesting.
Okay, you got it right. Okay.
And then the last one was...
fake.
Oh, right.
What was
the like the occasional or something, like the backpacker who pretends.
Like Trustafarians.
Yeah.
Oh, those are the worst. You can smell them though. You could snuff them out like a fucking sommelier.
And they're like crypto people and hustlers.
No,
and
the
fake
crypto
digital
people.
Marketers
they're their own thing.
They're their own thing. If I was drawing a Venn diagram, I would have like kind of like, there's be an overlap.
Okay.
Lisbon, one of the reasons I think Lisbon, and also I spent time in El Salvador for a while, both of those places. The crypto
people.
And that's not to say that it's all crypto people. Some of my friends are from that space.
Some of them,
and I'm super grateful for them. And in Lisbon, they had some great rooftop parties. I will give them that.
Yeah, rooftop parties where it's at.
Yeah, 100%. But like in Zante in El Salvador, it was it disgusted me to see them. Yeah,
not all crypto people are bad.
No,
some of them are great. Some of them made great stuff and make great products.
It's not that, again, it's not that crypto people are bad, but that I will say that crypto culture is unattractive. How about that? That culture gives me the ick.
Yeah.
Not all of it. Like Bitcoin is fine. Bitcoin is fine.
Oh, I get the ick. I get the ick.
Okay.
Web, like I'm not talking about blockchain technology. I'm not talking about
It's the
Web3.
culture.
I'm talking about the crypto culture.
Yeah.
That we know. We've seen it. We've lived it. We've all walked into a party and like 15 seconds in, you're like, oh, it's a crypto party.
I've seen that. You don't put it on your dating profile.
They also like the same type of music, which repulses me.
Oh, yeah.
Like when I see people dancing like this to like this weed, it just rubs me the wrong way.
Okay, so I have this theory that COVID was a portal into a new age of some sort, where that's dominated by digitalization, remote work, AI, online dating, and digital nomadism to a certain extent for people who can do it. And I met a lot of digital nomads, and there is this like wanderlust dream of being a digital nomad. And I think it is very enriching. You build your personality, you experience different cultures, you have access to all these places. They're cheaper than the salaries. Generally, you're making salaries in a Western country, and you live somewhere down south or somewhere where the cost of life is smaller. So there are all these great advantages, and then there's some disadvantages, and that's why I believe digital nomads are traveling for about 4 or 5 years, and then they stop. So yes, so the disadvantages. So I'm gonna name a few.
Why are they stopping?
So one big one is isolation and loneliness, and incapacity to have long-term relationships with friends or romantic relationships.
Yeah.
And eventually they get just tired of it. Yeah. So I think most people are digital nomads for about 3-4 years. Yeah. And then they stop unless it becomes like a full-blown thing. And I think there is another really important thing, and is that you gotta be really good at your job to not be in contact with other coworkers. Because if you're kind of okay, your job is gonna not be so good. But if you're really, really good at what you do, then you can afford to have like this Zoom kind of relationship with everybody. So I think good, solid digital nomads are really good at their jobs. Yeah. And then there is a whole spectrum of people who are more or less good, and then they lose a job to get another, they lose a job, they lose a client to get after another client. Yeah. And some of them end up broke. A lot of them end up broke. And then they start hustling, they get into crypto, they get into different types of schemes. I've seen a lot of those. Poker players in Playa. I went to a restaurant with like 5 people. They were like, oh, I lost my bank card yesterday. All of them. Yeah. In the same time. They just went broke. Yeah. So what do you think are like the positive, the negatives? Did you get lonely? Did you get sick of, why are you here? Why are you in Montreal? So why did you stop? Yeah.
I didn't stop.
You didn't stop, but you're in Montreal.
I reduced it. You reduced it. Okay. So my MBA is in person. Oh, that's I did decide to make that sacrifice. It's something I just always wanted to do. Okay. And I was like, why are you
doing an MBA, by the way? Because it seems like there is less and less value in the world.
So when I left Tokyo, my job forced me to travel. Then I got a remote position. So that's when I went from being a frequent business traveler to being a digital nomad, where I could work from anywhere, literally, and then eventually an entrepreneur. So I had that journey, and I was much more lonely when I was doing business travel. The difference between the loneliness and the negatives that I hear about, I associate that much more with when I was traveling for business. And the reason is I was put in the place designed by someone else for a purpose.
Didn't have a choice.
And didn't have the freedom to choose. Exactly. So I appreciated everything being paid for, and having my per diem, miss that. But one of the big moments where I was like, I think I need to change this, was my 37th birthday. I was in Vietnam, and I had forgotten it was my birthday. And,
no way.
And when
you forgot it was your birthday,
and I'm
the day off?
Hotel, and on my hotel, I just got back from a conference. Just got back from a conference.
How tired were you?
And the hotel clerk downstairs knocked on my door and brought me a cake.
Oh, wow.
And I was holding this cake.
She's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I was going there 3-4 times a year. So they knew me. Anyways, and so I'm alone in this room with this cake. I was just like, how many airplanes have I taken? I had taken 87 airplanes
so it's
that
like
year.
a serendipity moment. You're
it was just like a kind of a revelation. I was like, okay, so what are my priorities? I was like, I love traveling. I love this, but is this traveling? This isn't what I wanted. And so I made this conscious decision to switch into a work from anywhere job and get into that industry, et cetera.
Do you have any tips on that front?
Finding work that way?
Indeed.
Talking. I mean, now I'll switch to my recruiter hat. But I will say this, something to what you said before about, are you good at your job and are you this?
Yeah.
You can have everything you want, just not all at once. My favorite podcaster, Scott Galloway, says that, and it's a mantra that I find
Scott
myself.
Galloway.
I love.
Yeah, he's great.
Professional crush here. Prof G. So he says that, right? And I think this is a really great instance of that. So a lot of I have a younger sister, a younger sibling. She's 27 now. She just turned 27. And so 16 years difference. And she's like, eventually I want to be remote. I want to this, that. But she was looking for her first job. She just graduated about a year ago. And I sat that girl down and I was like, no, you do not go remote. You go in office, and for 3 to 5 years, you fucking learn.
Kill it. Yeah. You'll learn. Yeah. You develop an expertise.
So these, when I meet people who are like, oh yeah, I got my first job, I was like, you are not going to get far. If it, maybe on an entrepreneurial level, you can't. That I don't want to, but on a salaried level, the way that works, you learn so much from being in a space and that human connection, that networking. Mm-hmm. So if you're new to an industry or you're new to a position or both, I definitely would push for a in-office / a hybrid kind of model. And it doesn't mean that you can't travel with that, right? It doesn't mean you can't have conversations where you're like, hey, it's winter. Do you think I can spend 3 weeks here? Mm-hmm. And one of the things I did when I came back from Japan the first time, I made a conscious effort for a year to travel Canada. And I went to every province. I went to Yukon, spent time there.
Any favorites?
Yukon. Yeah? 100%.
Michael lived in Yukon.
Love the Yukon. Yeah. I had a friend up there, high school friend, and it was so amazing. It was the true Canada, so hospitable. Yeah. And I spent time in Iceland for a while. So cool. And I much preferred Yukon.
Did you see lava?
Did I see lava? Yes.
Did you see Northern Lights?
In Yukon, yes.
Cool.
Not in Iceland. So anyways, but Yukon, definitely over Iceland, the whole thing. Loved it. It was such a great experience.
And
went back 3 times.
I imagine.
Went back 3 times. No, it's not cheap. It's actually expensive because of the freight, right? The cost of goods getting there. Anyways, so making that conscious effort. So all to say, that loneliness element, I'm actually struggling. One of the disadvantages right now that I'm having is relating to especially women who are not digital nomads. Yeah. I am struggling big time with this. They
have a different worldview.
They have a completely different identity, right?
That's interesting.
Not just like motherhood or spouse or partner. But you find those women as well. I've met many mothers on the road. I've met many partnered women. But just like that like what they would consider this like instability. Mm-hmm. And then when I travel with them, so in recent years, I've had those friends ask me, well, can I travel with you? Can I meet you in Israel? Can I meet you in Mexico? Can I meet you here? And I'm very clear with my boundaries, right? And I'm like, look, I'm pretty independent. I get a cell phone card. Like, And then when I wake up early and go for a coffee, you did not wait for me. I need to walk alone. And I was like, yeah. You could have woken up with me, or you do not have to come and have coffee. But this bitch, when she wakes up, she's having a coffee.
Exactly.
You're independent. Okay, so when you travel with them,
you're not doting on them.
You don't want to babysit them. Basically.
So at this point, I no longer do that.
Good.
You can meet me there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can meet me there.
But I'm not traveling with you.
But this bitch is alone.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. I learned that lesson.
And there's a difference between alone and lonely.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so then, and the loneliness, and when you travel alone, you are way more open to new experiences, taking risks, being uncomfortable with starting a conversation. Not something I'm usually uncomfortable with, but most people. I hear it's hard to start a conversation.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, traveling gives you that.
Traveling, it so pushes you to make those conversations and like, hey, what's up?
But also, people are far more open. Like here, if someone tries to talk to you on the street, you do not want to talk to them. But in another country, you see a foreigner, you're like, hey, can we be friends? You know?
Yeah. But I think that's also about your energy, your body language. Like not you, but the person is more open, that you're facing, your eye contact, your shoulders, etc. And you're asking questions where you're seeking connection. Whereas when you're comfortable in your community and you have those pillars of communities, you may only be seeking out information from new people. Going to your question of why I'm doing my MBA, there are many reasons why, but one of the reasons I did make that decision is when I moved back to Montreal, I was like, I need to create a community for myself. I have been gone for over 10 years. And I still have my friends from high school and CJEP that I love, and they will always have that part of my life, but I need different kinds of friends here. And one of the greatest part of my MBA, I have lots of networking. Pros and cons. Well, that has yes, but like actually feeling now that I'm starting to actually have a real community here of different types of people who I never would have met before. Nice. And I'm very grateful for. Yeah. So that was, but I'm also learning law. I'm taking a supply chain class. It's awesome.
So how long are you staying?
So I still travel, but I just don't travel.
You still travel?
Yeah, I'm still traveling. Okay. I was in Panama. I did Panama, Colombia, and Mexico a couple months ago.
How's Panama?
How's Panama?
Before the trip.
There's drama.
It's a perfect 1 week spot.
Okay.
I mean,
1 week.
Yeah,
it's
I did 1
small.
week. But only in the city. Only in the city. Yeah, there you go. So I have to go back for the jungle stuff, but I did the city. Check. I did my partying. I did my hiking.
Where did you go in Colombia?
Colombia, I've been 4 times. So I've been to Cartagena. I've been to Bogota. Not my vibe. But Medellin is
okay. So Medellin. Okay, so I've been to Medellin.
Love, not the food.
So what? Have you been to Colombia?
I haven't been to South America.
You haven't been to South
America at all.
Furthest south is Honduras. I want to. Argentinians are my favorite.
In what sense?
Like they are my favorite Latin Americans. Like they're gorgeous, they're smart.
Okay, so your favorite Latin American to fuck, or your favorite Latin American to speak to? Like, what are we talking about?
That's a fair question.
Both.
I mean, well, no, because if that was the yardstick and standard, then I'd be saying I'm going to Sweden, right? Like Sweden's my favorite space, right? But are we talking about, because I really want to go to Buenos Aires because of the coffee scene there.
Oh, I don't care about coffee, but I do care about steak and wine, and they have a dope
true,
scene.
Very true. I've heard
cheap,
that.
And like I've been when I was young, we went to this Argentinian restaurant all the time, and it was like an all-you-can-eat steakhouse, and that is like a vibe. I was in one in Toronto for 6 hours, bro. 6 hours, never stopped eating. The entire restaurant stopped eating. The chefs would come out of the kitchen, come to me, cut me off steak, and go back.
Where was that?
In Toronto.
In an Argentinian steakhouse in Toronto.
Yeah, you guys got to check this out. They pay an entry fee.
Yeah,
there's Brazilian and Argentinian. I don't know the names.
There's one in Montreal called Melissa.
Yeah, but they're all you can. The one in California is called Greenfields, and like they're all you can eat steakhouses, and it's fabulous. And they give you like all kinds of random meats, but like the steak is where it's at. Because like in a lot of all you can eat places, the quality is subpar. But these guys, they don't mess around with meat, man. They take pride
I dated an Argentinian.
How was it?
How was that? Yeah.
It was 2 years.
Did he feed you properly?
That's what you're asking about. That's what she said. She said the question. So he was half Argentinian, half American. We used to have Argentinian barbecues. It was fun. It was great. Yeah. I haven't been to Argentina, but my cousin's been a lot, and she's a coffee drinker. I'm a coffee drinker. People are great, men and women.
But I also find them very intelligent.
It has the best English of all of Latin America, and their universities are renowned. And graphics and stuff like that. Like so it's a great place for talent as well.
And it was like one of the top 3 richest countries in the world in like the early 1900s, and then collapsed hard because they over focused in agriculture.
Speaking of our podcast crushes, Lex Friedman, yummy. He interviewed the president, right?
Yeah, Milei,
So that was really cool.
What do you guys think about his economical?
I mean, he's getting results, but I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
But do you think it's good or bad? You're not a fan?
No, I don't know enough.
Oh, you don't know. He beat inflation.
Yeah.
He built the deficit.
He's getting results for sure.
Yeah.
He's getting results for sure.
We'll see.
At what cost, right?
At what cost? Exactly. Good point.
But have you felt so one of the things I noticed, right? One of the things I noticed the moment we met at the party was the Selina bracelet you have, right? Okay. So first of all, cult following, one that I love.
Yes.
And I remember pre-Selina cultness and post-Selina cultness, very much like my Taylor Swift journey, right?
Okay.
The before.
Yeah.
And then you went and then you're like, this is what they were talking about. And then you became like, I invested in Selina when they went public, and I was in Israel. Really? I was in Tel Aviv when they went public, and the owners. Way. I was on the rooftop, fucking with the bell, like vibes. Yeah, I love this place.
I like the color of the bracelet, and I put it on, and I decided never to take it off until it falls down. That was Selina.
How long has it been on?
It's been 2 years.
Wow.
Which is one of my least favorite Selinas.
But it's great though.
But Selina is Selina as a concept is amazing. It's changed my life as a female traveler. Okay. Right?
Well, because it's like it's reliably
because
safe.
It's one of their things is that they will be in a space where it's walking like within that area is like reliably a safe
okay.
walking.
That's good. That's a smart tactic.
Right. And the co-working space, right?
Wait, for people who don't know, what is Selina? Selina is
it's like McDonald's of hotels.
Fancy. No.
It's reliable.
Okay. It's a chain of hostels.
Yeah.
Well, they say they're a hostel.
Yeah, / co-working
hotel. Yeah.
It's really like a hostel it's a luxury hostel for digital nomads.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's their target market. Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. Am I?
And they have the co-live program. So I've done a lot of the co-live programs. I don't know if you have.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
it's been a week.
It's like 3 roommates or something? Or?
No, it's 3 months. You pay and you get a significantly reduced price, that's and nice. You're committing to X amount of days.
I see.
And you're allowed to switch to 3 Selinas. So I've done that. So huge price difference.
They're all over the world.
I didn't know about that.
They're in Europe.
What are we talking like price for 3 months?
Depends on where.
Ballpark.
Depends
Mexico?
on where.
Where were you?
Like I did Greece and I got a larger room for $3,000.
For 3 months.
But private, full desk, full wardrobe, full bathroom.
$1,000 a month.
$3,000. Yeah.
That's a really good deal.
Yeah, amazing. I was in Athens. Amazing. I was in downtown Athens.
Yeah. Okay.
I loved it. Underrated city.
Yeah. I was paying $120 a day.
I was blessed when I was in Athens.
Where?
In Medellin.
In Medellin?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
See, like it's even worth it sometimes to do co-live and leave early.
Yeah. That makes sense. No, I was blessed. Someone gave me a free apartment.
How much is... Yeah.
Medellin?
No, in Athens.
In Athens.
It was fucking sweet.
Yeah.
I love Selina. I don't know if...
But speaking about like the advantages and disadvantages, right? So when I started, it was such a struggle for me to be like, okay, this is work time, right? And Selina was that gateway into like spaces with other individuals that were not at home in a new community, right? Nomading, and yet needed that focus time.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure y'all have been in one of the co-work spaces, either at Selina or WeWork or something. And there's that one person who's like talking too loud, didn't go into the quiet room, right? Like they didn't follow the rules that like it's like, right? And that's where you kind of know you're part of this community, right? Because you all like, you'll look at the stranger across from you like, you agree, right? This guy's being a dick.
Yeah.
Right?
The eyes
or
say
this
so
girl.
much.
Like, and it's like, are you going to say something? You know what? I'm going to say something, but you're going to back me the fuck up. Shut up. Go in the fucking quiet room.
Yeah.
So, and side note, all the people who listen to this and have seen me in a co-work space, because my entire job is online. So I'm the loudest person in the co-work space. And people come up to me all the time and they're like, were you just negotiating this CMO salary? It was like, fuck yes. A fucker wants this. So anyways, so apologies. I know I'm the loudest one usually, but there is. So you have this co-work space, and then like, you kind of learn like little things. Like I have my travel briefcase.
Okay.
And that is when I am on the road. This is the case, and it has my travel pen case, and it has my travel stand, and it has my travel mouse.
You have everything.
And I have
very organized.
I should get
and then I have the home, right? And I have like even separate outfits at this point, and like it's like these two like little like parallel supplies.
That's good.
But what that does is it allows me a semblance of a routine.
Yeah,
got it.
You have two. You're not mixing. You have two very separate identities.
And it's like, okay, this is this outfit. This.
What's the next location, by the way?
Well, I'm dying to go to Antarctica.
Really?
But I'm also dying to go to South Africa. but
I'd say South Africa.
They were very different.
Yeah, very different. Yeah.
Listen, it's on the way. You might as well go to South Africa and then Antarctica.
I really want to go to South Africa.
They have sharks there. You diving with?
Yeah, you do. But
Come with us to Playa.
Apparently, all the kids.
Tulum.
I mean, I'm down.
Have you down? Okay.
I'm
You have to
down.
go to Quintana Roo.
You know how I ended up in Portugal?
How?
I went to buy a sofa
Okay, and
at
ended up in
Struck
Portugal.
Tube, and then
Ended
I
up
was
in
like,
Lisbon.
and then the guy at the account says, "Well, yeah, you can get the sofa, but it's going to arrive in July." And it was April.
And you
it was
had
the
nowhere to
first week of
sit.
April.
Okay.
And then so I got back to my new place, and I was like, "Well, I could wait for the sofa
Or I could go-
here,
Or I
I
can
can
wait in
wait somewhere else."
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I just fucking went
Nice.
where to go,
That's dope.
bought my ticket, hopped on a plane 12 hours later.
That's
And I
hilarious.
stayed for 2 months. That is the luxury and privilege you have, right? The
Yeah.
freedom. Right
Yeah,
now, I
yeah.
have a dog.
Oh, what you gonna do with the dog?
My dog. Well, that's the thing is we're gonna do a road trip
Nice. Sweet.
this summer.
Okay.
So I've been training her. She's a puppy.
Okay.
I've been training Cleopatra to become a travel dog.
Good.
Okay.
Where to?
You can bring her to Mexico.
I'm
for sure.
going. I actually want to drive down to Texas. I watched too much Yellowstone, and I just want to get pregnant from a fucking cowboy and come back home.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
just want
it.
to go to Texas, get pregnant, come home.
Isn't Yellowstone happening in Yellowstone?
No, it's in Montana.
it's in
It's in Montana.
Why is it called Yellowstone?
I don't know.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't
Oh,
either.
why is it called Yellowstone?
Yeah.
You have to watch the prequel with
Okay.
Faith Hill and Tim
The
McGraw. I am not
1923.
telling you why it's called Yellowstone, but
gonna
it is
watch it.
so. Your loss.
Yeah, sorry. Harrison Ford, right?
No,
it's a different 1923.
he's in the other prequel.
Oh, okay. There are two prequels. Okay, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
apologize.
but there's a very good reason why it's
Okay.
called Yellowstone.
Okay.
Nothing to do. It's not happening in Yellowstone.
Has
Okay.
something to do with gold?
No,
Okay.
This is so
it
confusing.
has to do with hair.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Never.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
And young
Good
lady.
game plan.
But,
Well,
okay.
if you drive all the way to Texas, you can drive to
Well, that's
Mexico
the thing,
after.
exactly.
Okay, just
and
continue,
I've
yeah.
actually, one of the things I've also looked into is dog traveling consultants, which I found.
traveling consultants.
Yeah, which I have found. And
I mean, I travel the world with my dog. It's
She has
I
a,
do
he has
it
a
all the
dog.
time.
are you willing to put your dog in cargo?
Yeah,
I am not.
I did.
I do not. I will not put Cleo in cargo.
okay. She doesn't like it, but she's fine.
If you give her morphine.
No. Do not drug your dog.
No, do not
Literally,
drug your dog.
do not
Okay.
drug your dog.
Okay.
It's just not fair. It's just not fair.
No,
to
no,
her.
no. She
But-
has like she understands that like we're going somewhere cool, and she's fine with it now.
Really?
She doesn't like it, but she's like, I know you're taking me
Okay,
somewhere cool.
that's cool.
And we're good.
That's fine. Okay.
By the way,
fair.
do they like? How do they do their toilet stuff?
They hold it.
They hold it for
And
10
they,
hours.
Yeah, they might piss, but they try not to.
For 10 hours.
Well, it depends on your dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can always diaper them as well.
diaper them,
but then, like, it's not. It's just not fair to them. I would.
Yeah, she doesn't like
How
it.
do you gonna travel with your dog?
I'm going to get a car.
You're never gonna fly it?
I want to drive down. Well, I would go to Latin America with her, but I think for our first adventure together, she's still a puppy.
okay. Now,
I'm driving
I-
down to Texas and coming on back.
What kind of dog is it?
Pitbull.
Yeah.
She's a
Oh,
sassy showered. Yeah.
Gorgeous dog.
Beautiful dog, and also a woman with a pit bull
Is a good thing. It
is
helps.
what men feel like on a normal day.
Yeah. I love
I
that.
will say that. I will say that freely.
No.
I walk the streets with my dog, and I am just like, is this what it's like?
Yes, this is exactly what it's
Is
like.
this what it's like
Yeah.
to not like it is?
What time is it?
4:57.
Okay, good.
So yeah,
So I have a
we're gonna-
question. Have
yeah.
you done much driving in
have-
Latin America?
Latin. No, notice how I didn't say I was going to Latin America.
I
though.
know, but he was
stopping
suggesting
in Texas.
he was suggesting you go to Mexico, but I'm definitely advising against that.
Why?
Okay, driving
No, but
in
I would-
Mexico.
Texas
I
to
would
Mexico
take a
City,
plane
from
with
Mexico
her.
City
Yeah,
to,
from the short distance. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And,
That's fine.
and the dog
Yeah.
consultant.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about that. So
So
dog.
these dog consultants, and I can send you the one I found in Colombia, by the way, but she does all of the Americas.
Yeah.
Dog traveling consultant.
Yeah.
And,
and
you can get them on the plane with you, and it's fine.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So like Copa Air currently,
Okay.
well, it's actually, currently the last time I checked, which was a couple of months ago,
Okay.
but you can bring your dog on.
Yeah.
Right.
In the seat next to you?
In the seat.
in the seat.
You have to buy a seat. Yeah.
You have to buy a seat.
But
it's
for
fine.
Cleo,
It's fine.
to have Cleopatra
Totally.
with me, and not to mention Colombia is dog heaven.
Yeah.
So I would have no issues leaving her in a daycare there. She can live the life. It's $30 a month.
Nice.
What?
Yeah, and she can
affordable.
have her castle. And one of my clients is based in Colombia, and his dog goes to doggy daycare. And he was like, just drop her off, leave her here. And I was like, great. And I can go there, and I can spend 6 months in LATAM and go back. But for our first trip, we're just going to go to Texas and come back.
Good.
Okay, so wait a minute. So you want to start a dog traveling consultancy?
I do not want to
She
start
wants to
this.
use it.
I have endeavored those services.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
But
gonna use them.
it speaks though to the growth
of that
of that, like,
space,
and
yeah.
that demand,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
for sure.
But I can tell you, Eric actually wanted to come to Montreal with a dog, and we were going to travel to Lisbon with his dog.
What are you talking about?
Yes, you forgot that, eh?
We were going to go to Lisbon? When?
Last year.
Oh, but I was already in Europe with my dog. So
Yeah, yeah, but
Wait, do you
I
guys
spent
often travel to? Have you other than
hours-
meeting in Playa? Have you
No.
guys?
we met in
So-
Playa, in Bacalar, and in Montreal, and that's
Yeah. No, but last year I went
Interesting.
to Lisbon, Barcelona,
Yeah.
and Istanbul, and he was supposed to come, and I was
Right.
looking for dog daycares in
Oh, that's
Barcelona.
right.
Remember
Yeah,
at
yeah,
Lisbon?
Yeah.
And everything was full, and
Yeah.
it was like $30 a day.
Yeah.
It was really expensive,
No, it's super expensive.
Worth it.
And it was more expensive in Amsterdam.
sure.
But I was poor.
and it was packed.
Yeah, it's
It was packed. They're like, we don't have a space for next month.
Yeah. And same thing with Amsterdam.
Yeah.
But
So it's a good space to be in. I
Mm.
think.
the dog
daycares.
grooming and
Yeah.
daycares are huge industries.
Yeah,
right
we
now.
should do that.
I'd
Why
like
are we
to.
not
I'd love
doing
to.
that?
Well, I this is a side note from Digital Nomading, but I was gonna put my dog in daycare because she's depressed since my other dog died.
Oh.
And she's feeling very lonely. And then I was like, well, why should I pay for it? Why don't I just
Do it yourself.
go on Rover?
Yeah.
And so, like, once a month, I have a dog, a week, 10 days,
Good
and I'm
idea.
getting
Yeah.
$800.
Wow.
And so I told Cleo, this is her like toy fund and
Yeah.
and like she's paying for herself now.
Oh,
She has
that's
a part-time
adorable.
job.
That's pretty smart. I like that.
Yeah, no, it's my girl.
You can. I have a yard, by the way.
Yeah, we should do
I have a
this.
big yard.
I have a yard, but let's do it. If
Yeah.
you like dogs,
I don't have time. I cannot start a business. I don't have a time. But you can
I
use my
got
yard.
time.
You don't have time. But you can bring your dogs to my yard. I'll be very happy
We
to
love it.
babysit it. Yeah.
oh,
I live in Verdun.
how dare you?
So I know.
We know we love her done.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's like the service. So I do want to travel, but that kind of just changed things for me. I've left my dogs for 2-3 months. When I went to Greece, I left my dogs for 2-3 months.
And
It was great. They had
Yeah?
a great time. Yeah,
They
went to
Julius loved
daycare
it.
or something.
No, they stayed with family member
Family.
that had
Okay.
a dog.
Good.
And they were well loved, and we FaceTimed and all that stuff.
you FaceTime. Does he know? Does he know you're on the screen?
They don't
Julius,
get it
my
all the
my
ways.
dog that passed, did
does-
not, but
yeah.
Cleo does.
Misha doesn't get it.
Doesn't get it, eh?
Yeah. She
It's
hears
like
me
a
and she looks
2D weird
around.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you even see
I mean, I
it
even
television?
sent my dog a postcard.
They couldn't.
Are you serious? Is that a true story?
They couldn't see
I'll
the
send you a
old-
picture. I'll send you a picture from Berlin and from Greece. Yeah, I sent them postcards.
They couldn't see the old TVs, but they can see the new TVs.
You think?
No,
They
they've
can
done.
see-
They've done
I
science.
know. I see it on
There's
Instagram.
dog
yeah.
TV now on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Are you
so-
serious?
Yeah, I
the
see
colors
people
are for
watching
dogs.
the dogs and everything.
Get out.
Yeah,
Can
yeah,
you
yeah.
fact check that? Dog
It's a
TV?
blue something. The title is blue something. Yeah, and so like dogs can see blue hue.
There
Yeah.
are dog TV shows
Yes.
on Netflix.
I love it.
Yes. No, there is a dog TV show. And by dog TV show, I mean specifically where the colors
Yeah, designed for their eyes.
are designed for their eyes, which is the blue
Can I
hue.
see how that looks?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, they have totally different color receptors.
How does it look? Is it like gray or black?
Blue.
And
More,
it's
more blue.
It's
Yeah.
all blue?
Mostly blue.
Hued blue.
Different hues of blue.
Really?
Yeah.
What about cats?
They
Don't
have a
care
different. They have a
about
different vision. Yeah.
Dead to me.
They have different vision as well.
No, that's not true. That's not
Do
true.
they have
Just-
a TV show for cats?
Don't care.
They don't care.
Sorry.
okay.
Sorry, not sorry. Oh, wait, you have a cat.
I don't have a cat.
Oh, okay, thank
I
God.
don't have a-
So I was
Just
about to say
talking
sorry.
hella shit.
I was like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
shit, sorry.
But a lot of my friends have cats. Oh my god. I don't like the whole idea of pets.
Okay. You love my dog.
I love animals, I love dogs, I love cats, but I think it's probably something that we shouldn't do.
I think it's a huge extension of Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome.
Okay, so number
Wait a
one.
second.
Number one. Okay, I have my bullet point arguments.
Let's
so
do
number
this.
one, we bred these wolves to
Sure.
become dogs,
Yes.
and they have a whole bunch of like special characteristics. They're not healthy.
Some of
They
them,
have a whole bunch of like medical issues. Pretty much use them as like emotional support slaves.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
We castrate him, not all, but we castrate with
Depends on the
com-
location.
Yeah.
Depends on
But yes,
location.
for sure.
Completely weird environments where they don't have enough socializations with other animals
Absolutely.
or dogs.
Yeah.
They have mental issues.
Right.
They're emotionally dependent on their owners.
Yes.
They're basically mentally and probably often physically sick.
Yes.
Or at least
Absolutely.
have a whole bunch of like personality disorders, mental health disorders.
Separation anxiety.
Separation anxiety, and I think they should definitely not be in apartments. If you have a house and
Absolutely.
you live on a countryside and if you have dogs and cats,
Yeah, different.
and they have other dogs and cats around them, I think it's great.
Yeah.
But if you live in an apartment in downtown, I think it's borderline slavery,
Abusive?
animal
Yeah.
abusive. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Yeah.
just some responses.
We're gonna get in a lot of trouble for this.
That's okay. We can have opinions.
No. Well, positions. So first of all, you're absolutely correct that there are certain breeds, like the French Bulldog, if I'm not mistaken, right? Where
That's the most obvious one. But
fine, but
golden
it's
retrievers have like epileptic seizures.
A
Can
lot of it
have.
is because
Often
of
they
diet.
have-
A lot of it's because
what's
kibble.
often.
I don't know what they're.
I haven't heard of
Percentages are-
retrievers.
All to
and
say,
seizures.
there are breeds
epileptic
that
issues
were
for
bred.
golden retrievers.
for
There
purposes.
are breeds that are bred for the purpose of having an accessory,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's incorrect.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
like I think we all agree that's wrong,
Yeah,
right?
Bulldogs are like the best example.
French.
Those, yes,
Yeah.
right,
What
because
about pit bulls.
pitties are hound dogs. They are
fighting and
They
hunting.
were not selected for their jaws.
They are not.
hunting.
Well, so that's also a myth. They have strong jaws, but if
They
I'm not
don't lock.
mistaken, on the
Fight
scale,
dogs,
it's
fight dogs.
300, whereas a Argentinian doggo is
way
about
stronger,
700,
way
right?
stronger. But they're just not common. That's all.
They're as con, yeah.
Do pit bulls have health issues?
Pitties.
pretty healthy.
My dog died of cancer of the spleen, which is a common cancer that larger dogs get. And it's undetectable, unfortunately. So it has nothing to do with their food. It has nothing to do with anything that's preventable. It's in their gene. So
It's
he
still
was gonna
better
die
than
of that.
having birds.
Okay.
Birds is like
There's something else that you
pure-
talked about
pure
castration.
cruelty.
Castration
Wing switching,
depends
yeah.
on the area you're in.
Yeah.
The important thing here, though, is that like living in a society, a dog has to, you either have to go one way or the other. So in Finland, they do not castrate, and you're not allowed to castrate unless there is a special reason. And here
that.
we do castrate. Now, why did Quebec decide to castrate? It's a very good reason. Irresponsible humans
Yeah.
who are not breeding correctly. But castration, okay, if you do it at a certain age, it's somehow linked to cancer. But then is it because there are large breeders or not? Like that's just like statistics
irrelevant.
that we're
It's
not.
not a good reason.
We haven't.
Yeah, but like-
castrating an animal though is like
It's
it is.
cruelty.
The fact that it's been normalized is really bad. to me.
Well,
What
we
do you mean
can.
It's not cruelty. It's cruel.
So epilepsy and golden retrievers is believed to be genetic.
Yeah, but what are the rates?
What are the rates?
But
Yeah.
it can be triggered by like loud noises, air pollution.
Golden doodles, for example, or doodles, right? Dumb as fuck.
Yeah,
They're cute. They're super
Yeah.
cute, but they're accessories.
Yeah.
They're not bred to be a dog. They're not supposed
But we
to be.
shouldn't castrate anybody, no?
For dogs, I think in
Any
Quebec right now, we
Okay,
we
I
need
have-
to
I have
because
a
we have
strong-
such a problem with the dog environments right now.
Do you
It's
think we
just
should castrate
horrible.
humans?
Well, we can have a licensing issue.
Really,
2 to 5%.
No, but why should we?
really.
Why?
I would
why are we
castrate
able-
men.
5%.
Let's not. debate.
Okay, so
But why?
I'm very much ready for that debate. But the one thing I did want to bring up was the only time so the first time that two different animal species ever cohabitated is from the agricultural revolution onward, right? There is one exception to that,
Dog.
and that is the dog with
What
the
about
human.
cats?
No,
dog.
it is the one exception.
Rats came because we were hoarding grain, and the rats came.
15,000 years we have burial sites of humans with their dogs.
What about cats? No,
They,
not older.
they came when
Did not.
grain came because
They-
the grain
yes.
attracts the rats, and the rats
Agriculture.
attract the cats.
But I have I've been to countryside where there is no agriculture and everybody has mice and rats issues.
Yeah, do they have cats?
Yeah, that's why they have cats.
Yeah,
it's not related to agriculture.
No, it is, because what you need to have agriculture to have houses and like be stationary.
Okay,
that's the point.
From that point of view.
Food
Right. So then we
if you're
ended
just
up
hunting,
cohabitating.
cats aren't coming with you.
Yeah.
Unless they're like lions.
Okay. I don't know what's the...
So historically, like there is something about mankind and their dog that has a historical precedent that we have.
Of course, hunting.
We have. This predates. It's actually they found dogs with many women, female skeletons. So
they
this is
defend
not
the women when the men are away.
I don't know.
Okay.
But
men and the women weren't rarely together in those societies, right? Because men stayed at the campfire and only hunted one season of the year, whereas women went out continuously on their own as a group, which is why we evolved to be more communicators, right? And we also think more in the future. It's biological. We create life, but also because we had to communicate, and women took care of children from 0 to 2.
Yeah.
But once the child was able to walk, evidence shows, not confirmed, but that men raised children from 2 onwards until they each went their way, either hunting or taking care of children to that. So, number 1, men had a huge impact on raising children. Okay. And number 2, women were not protected by men when they were foraged. They protected each other.
And they needed dogs.
Well, we don't know that, but we do know that we've found burial sites with women and dogs, as well as men with dogs. Okay. So mankind. But I'll say there is a precedent there that I would argue it's not unnatural. It's the only evidence we have of a relationship between 2 species that coexisted, not because of agriculture, but just because of who they are.
Yeah.
And that emotional and
lifestyle. No, but it's true. Pigeons, dogs, cats.
Pigeons work for communication, though. It had nothing to do with...
But my question is, do you think that we should live with an animal and castrate it?
Okay, I have a huge stance on this.
Like, if we have to castrate to be with somebody, maybe we should not be with that.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Again, Finland does not, and I'm sure there's other countries or other provinces even who
but that poor animal. No, don't you think it's kind of sad not to have a sexual life?
Okay, so poor in what sense?
No sex life.
I have a completely different point on this. So, have you been to the Philippines?
I stayed there for over 3 months, yes.
Were you in Palawan, perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet place.
Rizal, to be specific.
I was in El Nido.
Okay, so I went up there for 2 weeks after at the end. Yeah.
So you saw, anyway, so there's a lot of dogs there. Okay?
All over.
A lot of free dogs, and I was there for like 6 months or something. So I saw these dogs, and they had a life, okay? They'd meet up with their friends, they go to the beach together, they go to their favorite restaurants. They had social lives, but they were independent, okay? They had homes. They would go back home later when they wanted to, but they had a life, okay? And they knew how to cross the street, they knew how to check for cars, they knew traffic lights, and then you get stories about Russia, how the dogs from these factory towns during the Soviet Union that are abandoned, they still live. They take the subway to other places, they scavenge for food, they take the subway back, other dogs wake them up when it's their stop. Crazy stuff, okay? Now this is because dogs are evolving, okay? Yeah. And the only way you're able to evolve is by reproducing, okay? And so what we're doing is we're taking dogs, we're castrating them, we're training them, we're giving them all these amazing traits that die with them, okay? Now, what I'm saying, what we should be doing is taking these dogs, giving them all these amazing traits, letting them reproduce, and then you can castrate them if you want to. But I'm saying, like, by castrating initially, we are stunting the evolution of dogs, and I don't think that's good at all for the species. Very unfair of us.
So one of the reasons dogs are castrated, and again, it has to do with like their geography, is because an unneutered male and a neutered male will naturally, when they smell the hormone / lack of, they will naturally fight.
Absolutely.
So leaving it to the owner's decision is, in fact, making it so that a city life isn't possible. So you have to go one way or the other. In our current situation, where we are currently right now, geographically in Montreal, we do not have the infrastructure, lifestyle, or topography that's in Palawan.
Absolutely.
And I'm very happy, but I'm very happy that we don't. Again, I started this by saying I like plumbing, and that was one of the things that was significantly lacking there.
Then dogs in Montreal.
Yes.
Why?
Because dogs make communities. They make people better.
Yeah,
I am a better version of myself because of my dog.
I agree with that, but
although it also brings out a dark side of humanity.
Is it nice for the dog?
Cleopatra, I'm happy for you to talk to her. She'll tell you herself. She's loving it.
Is she castrated?
She was.
I know, wrong word, but
she was castrated. Unfortunately, she was castrated at 3 months, but she had to be.
Okay.
She was found in a room, locked up by an illegal breeder.
Classic.
Who she was alone in the house with her little sister. No human contact, no contact with the outside world. And when they found her, even though she was neglected, much less abused, the law allows this person to go back and get her.
Wow.
So what they did was they castrated her right away. So this illegal breeder would be like, she has no worth for me.
Yeah.
So why not, right?
Okay.
We're profiting off selling dogs. That's wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And obviously like breeders' licenses and all that stuff. Like we have a huge problem in Quebec, a huge problem. And so at this time, castrating makes sense to control the situation so that we can take care of the dogs that we have. I think you brought up, like, do we think we should castrate humans? I think this is actually, and I'm really not trying to be controversial here, but it will be. But it's more aligned with like abortion in the sense of like, right now is not the time to be coupling and multiplying the dog population because we are overpopulated. The SPCA, organizations like RAD, it's disgusting what's happening. And so there's a lot of dogs that are alive that need love and a loving home. And let's take care of them first and put things under control in this chaos and then go from there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I had a fun idea where we would like combine public schools and SPCAs, and like the children would deal with the dogs and take care of the dogs and exercise with the dogs and play with the dogs. So like
I wish.
That'd be nice.
This province though is really anti-dog.
It's just unfortunate.
That's super. It's disgusting. But anyways.
Yeah, there's a lot of no dog signs
everywhere.
everywhere.
I've got an answer on the regulations. They tend to be municipal, right? So like Montreal has municipal regulations.
Yes. Like Montreal allows pit bulls, but a lot off island. There's a lot of you're not allowed having a pitty. Which is also ridiculous because a pit bull is like they look alike, but they're actually not the same. Like Cleopatra is a Staffordshire and Julius was an American bull terrier. Okay. Different look, different breeds, but they're called pit bulls.
Yeah, people think my dog's a pit bull, and I'm like, she's clearly not.
I know. Well, that's not a pitty. That's not a pitty.
Like the color, I was like, it has nothing to do with the color.
And I love my girl.
Yeah, me too.
I love both of them.
Well, this was a good conversation. I think we
both love dogs.
Yeah. No, this was interesting. It was probably like the highlight of the podcast.
Okay.
The dog conversation.
What?
Like, no. It's supposed to be about digital nomadism, but hey, we all talk about what we're.
Well, I would love to hear. I would love to hear about experiences and trying to find those kind of resources of like other digital nomads that travel with their dogs.
Yeah.
But that goes back to what we said about like the community, right? Where it's like, I'm telling you this now, and I can totally see 2 days from now you texting me and saying, hey, my friend heard the podcast and they have this and they've already been to here and blah, 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 blah. And if you get to Texas and cross this bridge, you're going to be able to fly in a charter for like $600. And you're like, great, amazing. I'm going to do that with my dog.
Okay, I have a tip from a horror story that I encountered. So I took my dog from Mexico to Greece because I had a job and they said I could bring my dog. And so I had a connecting flight in Belgium. And they didn't put her on the connecting flight.
That is
everyone's worst fear, okay?
No.
And so they lost my dog. And, I arrive in Greece and they lost everyone's bag. And I was like, where's my dog?
Oh my God.
And they're like, sorry, sir, we got an email. They didn't put her on the plane. It was the whole thing. Anyway, so the tip that I can pass on if you ever have to be in the situation where your dog has to be in cargo, you must ask the flight attendant to ask the captain before you take off, is your dog on board, because the captains know about the dogs. I would have never assumed that the captain knew about luggage, but apparently they do know about
cargo.
Yeah, they know. Anyway, so they didn't put her on the plane. Eventually they got her to Athens, and I was like, listen, she's on a long journey. She hasn't gone to the bathroom. She hasn't eaten. She hasn't drank anything. They've lost her for X amount extra hours. Please, you're not going to be able to get a hold of me. Send me an email. You can't call me. My phone doesn't work here. Give her food and water, please. And they're like, of course, sir, of course. I get there. I'm I'm like, did you give her food or water? Oh, no, sir. We didn't want to poison her. We couldn't get a hold of you.
I mean, it's hard. You can also I could see how they can also get in trouble for something like that if you don't have written permission or something.
It's water.
Yeah.
And so then, like, these people, like, you know how, like, if they lose your bag or your flight's delayed, there's like a set legal thing where they have to give you X amount of dollars or whatever. Yeah, there's nothing for dogs. They didn't give me shit, not an apology, nothing. Ridiculous.
Okay, well,
that's interesting.
So
CSR. I mean, again, I'm starting my first journey. You asked me, like, the next is going to be a road trip.
Yeah. Road trip first. It's great. Dogs love road trips.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
All right, guys. I think we're on time.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Anytime.
Thanks, Jess.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was great. Michael, thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Great job. Good night, everybody.
Nights. Enjoy. Happy travels.